Okay.
Let's have who's doing the intro? DClara?
Intro? You putting me on the spot like that? Come on,
No, it's
guys.
fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay.
Let's hear something.
Tarke's got to do something useful.
Fuck right off, yeah. I got Chris the fucking right. Let's just. Hey guys, Tarke here today, and we are joined by DClara, and we're going to be talking about all of the new expansion stuff. And before we get into it, I want to give a big thank you to both Bex and Chris. Since there have been loads of different interviews and lots of misinformation, I sent a copy of our topic list to Bex. She passed it on to Chris, and Chris himself went through the doc individually on notes, clarifying a few mechanics. So thank you very much for that. Before we get into all of that stuff, what has everyone been up to, other games, etc, etc, etc? Lara, what about you?
Yeah, during the kind of dead time of PoE, I played a lot of like other games like Heroes Might Magic 3, Command & Conquer Generals, Overwatch, Cuphead, anything that, you know, stream loves me, stressing myself out. Played some Evil Within 2, you know, and just tried to play some other stuff to like get rid of the dead zone of PoE a little bit, because I couldn't really bear playing it for a bit. What?
You played Divinity with Noogie?
Oh,
right?
yeah, and I've been playing Divinity 2 with Noogie as well. Yes.
I'm really looking forward to that. Probably gonna check it out too.
Yes, it's really good. Not the funnest thing to watch, but it is really fun, especially if you play with friends.
I've tried playing that game a few times. I just find the movement so slow that I just can't get into it. I don't know.
Yeah, like if you're not into turn-based games and like you're not into really strategizing about something and you don't have patience, it's not really the game for you. Well, I guess you could kind of in like play the story mode version, the version where you don't really have to think about the fighting too much and you're more in for it for the lore. That's a bit more fast-paced.
Oh, it's not even that. It's literally just the speed at which your character moves, I find so slow.
Oh, yeah. Too bad you can't have a Quicksilver flash.
No, dude. Every time anyone mentions Divinity, I'm like, oh, it seems like a really cool game, but the characters move so goddamn slow. Yoji agrees, and people respect Yoji's opinion, so therefore you respect my opinion, Raiz. Respect my opinion.
You have a point. I don't want to go against Yoji. Okay, I back out. Characters move too slow. Fuck that game.
Yeah. Right. Someone else. Go on.
Well, I've been playing Grim Dawn. There's very few movement skills there, and you kind of just walk slowly too, and I like that.
Grimion.
I don't know. Grim Dawn's pretty cool. It has a lot of systems that I think would work well in PoE. I think both games could really benefit from it. It's like Grim Dawn is like if people played PoE a really long time ago, it's exactly in that where you like don't have a lot of the quality of life stuff. You don't have the search function, but like it's imbalanced. They're focusing on like different things. It's not quite there, but like early PoE, it's like branching out to different very good things. So that way it's pretty cool. And other than that, I've been doing the turmoil race, and that's been really fun. For the first time ever in 4 years, I've casually approached a race since, as you might notice, I'm in a different spot. I've been moving. And it's been interesting. I still managed to die 3 times though, which is 1 time more than I managed to die in the entirety of Harbinger. So it's a pretty good score, I think.
What build did you settle on in the end for turmoil?
So I wanted to play EK Inquisitor, but I rolled Shockwave Totem to like get it kicked off, and I didn't really plan it all that much. Turns out that if you put 40 points into totems, it's pretty hard to start playing EK. So I was playing Shockwave Totem until like 87. I was first Inquisitor, somewhere in the top 10. I think I was 8, and I was just like, I'm done with this. So I re-rolled since I wasn't going for first spot, because I found 2 obliteration ones, then I died leveling up, then I re-rolled again. I died like in early maps while trying to get gear. Then I rolled a Caustic Arrow character. I got bored of that around 70. So I re-rolled again, ended up playing Darkback Totems, which was supposed to be Shockwave Totem 2.0, but it's actually really freaking fun. It feels very different, and the single target is very cool. It's just a better version, essentially, with a cooler single target. And I obviously died on that too. Hell yeah, let's go. I got debated by a level 7 golem, dude. It was a crazy rip. There was a massive room of Beyond. I was like, oh, we're dying here. And then I literally died because my level 7 golem that I made for the boss somehow made it all the way with me through half of the map, through like a crazy room of beyond. And right when the Molten Striker spawned, his hit killed the golem, and I ran into the projectiles and just blew up instantly. I was like, no.
I really don't know how people can use those in hardcore. Like, I stopped using those leagues ago. They just get you killed.
It's the fucking chat, dude. I swear to God,
ignore
every time
chat,
I'm like,
chat.
if it's a totem build, every time I'm like, I don't want to use a golem. Golems are really shit. They get you killed, especially on a totem build. It really sucks. You don't want to play with golem. Every time I don't fucking have a golem, somebody's in the chat like, where's your golem, dude? Where's your golem? And I'm just like, I don't really like using golems, but maybe I could spawn it here because it's got this like tiny use. I'm running lab. I'll just keep it for a second. Kills you fucking every time. Don't ever use golems.
You always have that thing, like, I don't know if you saw my very impressive rip from Turmoil. I think that's probably the worst rip I've ever had, where I was rank 1 occultist, hybrid by the way.
yeah.
Hybrid's actually really good. Hybrid's really good. And like the whole time I was playing that character, people would come and I'm like, wow, dude, Hybrid's like nutty. And then for some reason I thought, let's go CI. And then the third map after I went CI, I was really tired. I'd like stayed up for like 12 hours to get back into my main mapping group. And I'm like on the boss. Oh shit, I'm not a hybrid build because I let my ES. Because you know when you play hybrid, you let it drop because you know you got like 5k life.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I get out of the fight with no flasks, and I'm like, oh, that's safe. And for some reason, in my brain, I'm like, oh, it's fine. I go back in fight with no flasks, get a bleed. I'm like, it's fine. I'll just take this portal, refresh my flask. Oh shit, I'm not hybrid dead. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
you had that Mathil like expression of confidence when you were dropping to like 2k energy shield on the boss and just not moving at all, not flinching or anything. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? And then you're just like, oh yeah, I'm not hybrid anymore, and you move away. Did I wait because you were playing like the similar build that I played before, and from playing hybrid, I transitioned to CI to do, and I had like pretty good gear. I transitioned to CI with Essence Drain to do like Shaper Soul self-fun and stuff, and then I spec'd into it and I'm just like, wait, I have like 7k like what? Hybrid is really good. CI needs a lot of gear, and then I think CI is still like really up there, but it needs
it still works.
It needs like a lot of gear, and then it works really well.
Day 1, I'll let someone else talk, but day 1 of the league, I went into maps with 9k effective HP with hybrid. And then when I transitioned out of hybrid, I had something like 13k. Went to CI, I was raw like 10k. I was like, oh, this is really good. But then you actually go, oh, I now need to put Knife Chiula on. Now I'll swap this piece of gear. Then I'll swap this piece of gear. Then I went down to like 9k. And because of, and I really hate myself because I like tore Pantheon apart. But Step and Ard making you immune to Desecrated Ground, and then Pantheon making you immune to Burning Ground. Hybrid is like, and what? Like, nothing touches you. It's so good. But what have you been up to, Ziggy, while CuteDog digests his food?
I almost always play these race events that they're running right now, but for the first time ever, I made the conscious decision to intentionally skip it, which was, that was weird. That was weird to do. Because I always get around this time in the league and I want to play some other games and take an actual break from PoE so I can come back to the new league refreshed. But every time, GGG is like, oh yeah, we're going to do these race events. And I'm like, oh, I love racing, so I end up doing them. But I don't know, man. What is it? It's Turmoil right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like,
everybody's just...
Yeah, I mean, we played Mayhem, which was awesome. And then they're like, we're going to release a new race event. And I'm like, oh. And then they're like, Turmoil, it's like Mayhem, only less. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that helped with the decision. So I ended up playing some Grim Dawn, like Raiz. That game's fun. The monsters actually fight back in that game. It's probably the best thing about it. So was engaging and entertaining. But more recently, I've been on a massive binge. I got this game a week ago, and I've already played 75 hours. It's Avorion. It's a space pirate game. Well, you don't have to be a pirate, but I often am. It's kind of like a sandbox game, but it's got like action RPG loot with like rarity tiers and randomized loot rolls and stuff like that. You build your own ships bit by bit and fly through space and blow stuff up or trade or mine or salvage and stuff like that. It's so freaking addictive, man. I've been playing it like nonstop on and off stream. It's been nuts.
Is it multiplayer?
You can play multiplayer, you can play single player, or you can play on servers. Actually, in the process of setting up a server, that's kind of like how involved we got with it. I want to play with like my viewers now, get like a mega server going, where we all build up stuff because you can there's so much you can do in it. You can like build up AI controlled fleets of ships that you command to do stuff for you and build stations and things like that. It's nuts, man. It's nuts. So that's been eating my time and a great break from PoE.
You're making your own server?
Yeah, I'm getting like a third-party dedicated host kind of thing.
Oh, that's awesome. Snap.
It's been fun, man. It's been really fun.
I like that about Turmoil, though. That they were like, oh, we heard your guys' complaints about how Turmoil was like 1/4 of Mayhem. So now we're going to run it in front of Mayhem. So you're not going to feel so bad. It's like,
To be fair, though, like, I've been going pretty... Well, I stopped playing it a few days ago because I've had other stuff on, but it was pretty fun going from Harby into Turmoil. It felt really good.
Yeah, actually did.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, yeah. I don't know. What about you, CuteDog?
I've also played a little bit of Grim Dawn. Excellent game. I think everyone should try it out if you like PoE. I know like it looks really slow, but once you start playing, it's the itemization I think is like really interesting. It's unique. Definitely worth the money. I think it's like what, $20 on Steam for everything. So that's where they played Divinity Original Sin 2 also. Now that's like one of the best games of the last few years, I think. Like I'm one of those people that like if there's an RPG, I'll just like tab through all the dialogue options. I won't read it. I just want to like go to the next part. But like this game, I like read like every line, and like it's all voice acted, so I guess I listened to every line. Like the world building is out of control. It like really draws you in. So I'm still kind of playing that like off stream even. And recently I did Turmoil, but got really bored. So now I'm playing some Overwatch. Oh, such a good game. Blizzard, yes, feels so good. Such a smooth, like well-made game. Everything like feels right. Ah, man, I wish PoE was as smooth as Blizzard games.
Yeah, I agree.
I have to ask. Please tell me you're not a Hanzo main.
I'm not a Hanzo main now.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
What's your go-to role then?
I like to play a little McCree, just to practice like the aiming and like to learn the game.
You only started recently, right? Like you've never
Yeah,
played it before?
I played like 4. I've started like 4 days ago. Okay. Yeah. It's a pretty good game. It's very fun. I can see how like it makes people really mad though. There's some toxic people.
Hell yeah.
They say some weird stuff to you.
I always play that shit off stream, dude. I don't.
Yeah,
If
me
like
too.
people ever follow my CS streams, I would always troll on stream, and then one day Twitch was like, maybe you should relax on that. So I instead took it to Overwatch, and now I'm just like,
Dude,
God,
it's
when people
so
get
bad.
angry, dude, and when they're just, because I'm not a good. I've been playing Overwatch forever, but I'm not good at all. I'm like 3.5K MMR. So, but you've got these people on this MMR that think they're good, and that everything is like everybody else's fault, and you just push them to the edge, and anytime
Yeah.
they say something, you're like, hey, your mother, hey, you know, this was your fault, hey, you could have done that, and they get so angry, dude. It's the best thing ever.
I'm that.
That's
kind
the
of,
only reason why I play it.
I'm that kind of person you hate. Overwatch.
Fuck yeah.
I probably have lots of like reports filed against my account. I just become someone completely different when I play Overwatch.
Toxic.
That's why I can't play competitive Overwatch on stream. And like when I even do play Overwatch on stream, just like for the fun of it with my viewers, I get like this really weird concentration face. Like my lower jaw will start going like autistic. Like it will like
Whoa.
jerk from left, right. And I'll like lean into the screen and I'll try to focus, and I get some horrible screenshots out of it from viewers. So I'm just not playing anymore.
One thing I will say is never play Overwatch with viewers, because there's nothing worse when you have to be like, dude, you're just really bad at this game. I can't play with you anymore. Like, I played a lot of Overwatch in the beta, and then when it first came out, I had like a group of like 5 or 6 people. An internet guy, if you're in chat, you know who it was, and it was kind of like, hey, have you tried playing tank? Because you try and find a role that works for them. And like we went through everything, and then it was just like, yeah, I think I'm done playing Overwatch on stream, guys. So,
You can't
but-
point him out either. It's just like 5 people. It's just one person. You're like, what? Maybe you want to go? And just to clear things up, I'm not toxic. I don't grief. I just like to push people so that they get really, really mad.
you're just
I don't
passionate.
really-
You're passionate.
I'm passionate about it. And besides, it's impossible for me to climb too, because anytime I get to like 3.3, 3.5, I just stopped playing because there's a new PoE league, and it decays you back down to 3K.
Yeah.
Then I drop to like 2.9. Then I go back up, stop playing again. It's like, so I'm always on 3K. It's easy peasy.
Okay. Well, the one thing that I've actually been most hyped to talk about, CuteDog, the new supporter packs. Which one's your favorite, yo?
I think they're all like okay in terms of points. I mean, like ZiggyD, they do a really good job of like enticing you to buy them because I'm pretty sure past the first pack, the Vagaboned pack or whatever, you always get more points than you pay, right? If you don't get the physical items.
It's slightly less. It's slightly less.
Yeah.
It's like you'll pay like $30 and get $25 worth of points, but then you get so much like raw value that it's like way over.
50 difference, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. So I think like they did a good job in the tiers. Like it goes up pretty well. The Seeker one I think is pretty nice. The back attachment, the scroll thingy on the back is like the perfect size. It's very noticeable. I like that one. It's like Assassin's Creed themed. The Scholar one looks really bad, I think. It looks like a bad cosplay. The back attachment is huge.
I'm actually going to jump ahead. I've got them coming from the playlist. I love it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Set. Legit. I look at that and I think Yu-Gi-Oh! It's so cool, man.
It's the coolest. It's like they took capes and like back attachments that didn't work and like the banners and like pulled it all together, and it's the best attachment ever.
It's so good.
It's so good.
The back attachment's amazing, but I think the set itself, it looks like a bad Power Ranger, like a
yeah, maybe
really bad.
No.
Anyways, but whatever. The Redeemer one, the Redeemer's pretty good, except for the back attachment. It's just like a reskin of the Hydra, and then it literally looks like it's very phallic in nature. I looked at it, that's a bunch of dicks. And it's okay. Without the back attachment, I think you can mix and match that with some stuff.
I love the tentacles. They
Really?
eyeballs. They look so good.
I really like the portal from that one. The portal is really cool.
Portal's nice. Yeah, it goes along well with like a Katarina hideout maybe. So that's a little nice mix and matching there. And the Subjugator, I think, is the best one. Subjugator is like it's like actually like viable armor. You know, you can see someone wearing that. Like and then like the shoulders, you know, I'm really into like the WoW shoulders where they make them as big as possible. And you got some wings there. That's pretty nice. The portal effect I think is nice. A lot of people don't like the portal effect. But I like how it like lights on fire. And then it's pretty large. And then the Dominator price. This is like one of the worst things I've ever seen. You pay $480 to look like a giant chicken, and it's basically like a chicken. And then the helm like doesn't even go with it. You're wearing like some kind of weird, like it doesn't go with the rest of the armor, I don't think. And the back attachment like really sucks. Now the portal is nice. When I first saw the portal in the video, it gives me like the Diablo 3 like, you know, like those cutscenes with like Imperius and Tyrael. Those like a very nice aesthetic to the portal. But I'm not paying $480 for it. I might email support and see if they'll let me buy the portal by itself. But I think they're gonna say no.
They'll say no. I can't see them doing that. Because otherwise everyone would just start, especially if a streamer did it as well, everyone would then start cherry picking like, hi Chris, I want the boots from this set, I want the shoulders from this set, I've got $2, can I pay over a 10-year plan? Yeah, no. But,
I like how the guys are like, yeah. I like this set, and Lara's just like completely quiet. Come on, Lara.
Oh no, I like the Scholar set just because I like the color of like the purplish blue. That's what really gets me. That's why I spent like hundreds of dollars in Legacy League on those mystery boxes to try and get those arcane purple wings. So yeah, I think I really like the Scholar one. The other ones just seem kind of, you know, not that unique. I really like the portal effects. Those are really awesome, but other than that, the Scholar is my favorite one.
Yeah, for me, it's flipped also. I'm like, the price tag should be flipped.
I like
which
the
I'm
bottom
happy
two.
about.
Yeah, the bottom two are the best ones in my opinion. I agree with that.
Oh, the bottom three. The weapon, I'm like whatever about. But
oh
like,
yeah, I don't count the weapon. The weapon's like,
the weapon. I had the same problem. But I'm happy about it because like I thought I'm gonna probably spend a lot because I was expecting the cloth, right? I always wanted to look like you look like a wizard sort of thing. You know, I really want that Gandalf look. And they kind of, I was kind of expecting that with the capes and everything, they're gonna get that in. But I was expecting that it's gonna be like really far down. So when I started hearing like Academy, Library, Elder, all that sort of stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense, right? But I got the Beast set last time. Not good. And I was expecting to spend a lot for this one too, so I'm happy that my favorite ones are like at the 100, and they're really good. They're by far my favorite supporter pack yet.
And also, what people forget about is the new cloth physics as well. Comboed in with like the way that the coats on them kind of like flutter and everything. It looks really awesome. They're really juicy. Yeah, I can just see Ziggy smiling in the bottom there about cloth physics.
Half hour fashion podcast.
Ziggy just doesn't want to expand it. Ziggy's got an opinion, he just doesn't want to say it because it would.
When we spend an hour waiting to start the show because CuteDog hasn't turned up, I don't mind then spending 30 minutes talking about fashion.
Guys, we have secret patch notes from Chris Wilson himself. He's given us all this information. Cloth, by the way. Nice supporter pack. $30, by the way.
Okay. Right, well, let's start getting into it then. So, we'll go with Abyss League first, get that out of the way, then we'll go into like the big like meat and potatoes at the end there. So what was like everyone's first reaction of Breach? And before we get into it, I want to caveat something that Chris said, that the video which did the rounds on Reddit, that was like some early promotional thing that isn't set in stone, and the density and the speeds will change. So we don't really know what it will look like, just the mechanic as stuff kind of leaks out.
Yeah, I was surprised, like, because the way I saw that video, somebody linked it to me on stream, and I was like, is this even, did somebody like hijack this? Like, is this even supposed to be shown? And I wasn't sure if I'm supposed to show it on stream because it seemed like it was really underground. And like even the sounds and like the maps were empty. I think a big part of Abyss is the fact that it's like going through the map. So you're not just running through an empty map as this cracks open. You're like traveling with it while you're clearing the map, I think, which makes a lot more sense. So yeah.
That's an ideal scenario.
Yeah,
there's also the reverse scenario where it runs backwards through the map you've already cleared.
Yeah.
So,
well, if
there's some intelligent design there.
If they're changing it, then yeah. Hey, maybe it's got the AI of like Tormented Spirits, you know, it's tracking down things. Tormented Spirits, good AI, by the way.
Like, that's the one thing which scares me about it, though, because... So, I'll just read exactly what I wrote. I said, potential backtracking, if it leads you back to the start of the map, will it have an AI question mark? Otherwise, you'll run the master mission thing where you get the CAD mission, it sends you all the way back to the start. Chris read through that and didn't say, yes, it will have an AI, which makes me think that it probably won't have a smart AI, and you might have the thing where you can like halfway through a map and then it starts going in the wrong direction, maybe. Especially in something like an oasis or like a dunes, like really large and open. Because like it would be really cool if you entered a canyon, for example, and it hugged the whole left side, looped around the boss, went down the whole right side, then came up through the middle. Yeah, that'd be great, but it's probably not going to do that.
What about if where you ran spread the crack? Oh, now that would be juicy.
Oh boy!
So you step on it and start the fissure, and then you spread it yourself wherever you want to go.
I always spread the crack wherever I run.
Oh yeah, buddy. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. This is right up my alley, if you know what I'm saying. For sure.
Yeah, that was a huge concern because like when you watch that video, you could like count the mobs coming out of the abyss. Like, oh, okay, that's 4 rare mobs right there. And you like take a look at the time of the video, like, man, that's not very good density. So that was like a huge concern. But I think it'll be okay. The thing is, like, you can't control it, right? Breach, if you want to clear your entire map before you hit the breach, you can do that. You know, maybe once you get a headhunter, you wanna make the most out of those rare stacks, right? So you go to kill the boss or something. But this, it seems like you're just running around and then it just happens where just the ground cracks open and then now you're like forced to kill the first like little hole and then you go to the next one because it's like it builds upon each other. It's like if you clear the first one, then it like cracks open to the next one, right? That's what it seems like at least. And so it might be kind of weird on certain maps. Like maybe on Canyon it wouldn't matter because like the hole, it looked like pretty much the width of the canyon or something. So on linear maps, like completely linear maps, like some of the ones that we can see in like the video and stuff, they won't matter. But open maps would be kind of annoying.
Do we know how far it travels?
We haven't had like a direct sort of like it will travel exactly this many units. And that's like one thing which I kind of hope that it can succeed from Breach, because Breach still has some like pretty glaring issues that people like we talk about but that Reddit doesn't. The fact that you enter a breach and sometimes it's just a dead breach, right? Like the density variety on Breach is so heavy. So like if they can nail the spawn rate, so it's not as slow as Harvey, like if they speed up so it's like it feels good and they're popping out and it's got like a consistent density, I think it could be way better than Breach. If they can nail it and it doesn't like lead you back to the start. Because it won't have the issue that Breach has, whereas the Breach is kind of like, if you have a bad Breach, you just have to stand here and wait for the next one. Wait, because you can't open another Breach while one's currently active, right? Whereas this is like, you just kill the mob and go. And it will constantly keep going forward, so you shouldn't hopefully have that like waiting space, maybe?
I don't think they're gonna do that though. I think like the whole, because there was, until the races, there was never, I don't think, a possibility of opening like multiple breaches at once. Like there were never multiple breaches in a map. So I think when they released Breach, it was only one breach per map. And so I think they just didn't plan it, and therefore they didn't code it in a way where you can open multiple breaches, which I think in this league they're going to do much better, because that's been a huge complaint. Now that you can have 10 breaches in a map, it's like, yeah, these things don't open at the same time. This is just boring, right? So I think they've probably taken note, I hope.
What did you guys think about, because we don't know the whole like Abyss Jewel thing they said, and they said that claim valuable new Abyss Jewels to customize your character and items. That I find weird, like how are jewels going to start affecting your items? That was the thing which got me really excited.
It's going to be like charms in Diablo. You have to keep them in your inventory. And so now you're managing inventory space with character power. Bam! Easy game.
No.
No.
Please no.
And so you're just gonna have an entire inventory full of jewels, and you have a very strict loot filter, and then that's how you play this league.
Maybe socketable jewels that go in the sockets and take the place of a skill gem, but give some small benefit.
Yeah.
Like that seems the most likely scenario.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was some people on Reddit speculating that there was like a belt which looks like it has like a socket in it, and maybe you get like a special like Abyss unique, and then you could put like the Abyss jewels into the Abyss uniques, maybe. I don't know.
Wait, belt slot though? Oh, it competes with Headhunter though. Oh, what? I think it looks cool. Like from the little screenshot when they pan over all the new items, they look nice. There's like 4 of them in that screenshot that are different. But I think I'm scared that it's going to be something like, while you're running along a fissure, double your jewel properties that you have. So like, I just went, oh man, god damn it.
Yeah. Every time you enter a fissure, have a chance to mess up your gem level ups. Seems good. Seems good. That was I don't know. Every time I was wearing a breach ring in Breach, I was just paranoid. Don't level up gems. Don't level up gems. I don't know.
I eventually did it.
Out of interest, Laura, what was your first league for PvE?
My very first league? I started during like the last week of Breach League. And I remember my very first Breach I entered was in Coast, and I was playing with my friends, and I was like, I entered the breach and I died immediately, and my friends were way ahead, and I said, guys, you'll never believe what I just ran into. Follow me. And they were like all the way in like mud flats or something. I was like, no, follow me. They were like, Lara, we need to progress. I was like, no, you have to come see this. There's like this huge purple jewel. You have to come see this. And I dragged them all the way back, literally walked horizontally, inch by inch, all of Coast, and I couldn't find the breach again. And I was like, I promise there was a big purple like portal jewel thing here. I promise. I don't know where it went, but I just remember like that. That's how far back I started last week of Breach League.
Damn, that's crazy. So you like basically started playing PoE and started streaming at the same time?
I started streaming in February, and I started streaming with Overwatch. And then my friend was like, I was bored of Overwatch. I was tilted. Like we were talking earlier, I was like cussing at people. And then my friend was like, hey, play PoE. It's kind of like Diablo, and it's free, and we can play with up to 6 of our friends. And that's how we got started. And then that day, I think CuteDog like saw me streaming, and so he sent like a bunch of people my way, and I was like, whoa, like cool, like actual people watching, and that's how I got more into it. It was CuteDog.
So, as someone who like started in Breach, because this is one thing that obviously we can't relate to at all, because we often like baby rage about these new legacy players.
Yeah.
So, as someone who started in Breach, and then you've gone from like what Breach, Legacy, Harby into like Abyss, how like does that scope out for you?
I'm really excited because, like, I know I haven't been here for a really long time, and I'm not as attached to certain aspects of the game as a lot of people are. And at this point, I more of just take it as, like, instead of nitpicking what has been changed and, like, nitpicking at it and trying to get that to be changed back, I just kind of take it as, whoa, like, this is cool. This is, like, something new. I'll just take what GGG gives, and I'll do what I have to with it, and I'll see if I can have fun. I'm not really, like, in the place to nitpick, although I do kind of hate the starting point for some of the maps, and I'm concerned, you know, for those who play solo self-found, how are we going to find more map drops? Specifically, like, where is it? We're probably going to talk about this later.
You can go ahead. We always go off topic.
Yeah, it's like, it's a good transition, trust us.
Yeah, go
This
for
is
it.
the
Okay.
best we can do.
Okay,
In terms of transitioning.
I can't find the picture right now, but it was the top left. Oh, here it is. Where you start off with dungeon, and then you have cavern, and then you have it connected to cells, excavation, and sulfur waste. So I'm just kind of interested to see how that's gonna pan out,
Oh my
especially
God.
for someone, you know, who finds it difficult sometimes to sustain maps. That might be a hellhole, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be a fun like day being stuck bouncing between dungeons and cells.
Yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah.
I looked at that, and then you luckily finally transitioned to excavation. Like,
Yeah. Lucky me.
Are you gonna play solo self-found? In
Me?
3.1? Yeah.
Yeah, probably for the beginning, and then if I don't get any good lucky drops, I'll just go over to Harbinger Hardcore. Or, you know, Hardcore League. If I can't get anything, I'll just baby rage over into the tradable
I
one.
gotta, just to backtrack, I gotta ask this. Okay, so you've really only played 3 leagues, or
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, so what do you? Because everybody's always complaining about Harbinger. What do you
Mhm.
think about Harbinger?
Oh, I hate Harbingers. I hate them. I hate them. They were okay before the patch, but I played a few builds, like Cyclone, and I was level 88 in solo self-found hardcore playing Cyclone, and I just got completely destroyed because it just tilted me how the mobs could summon something completely new each time that they died. And I just kept getting deleted, and I fucking hate Harbingers. They're trash, sorry, my opinion. I like the currency. Love the currency. Hate the Harbingers. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, so.
Damn, that's great. People, we've been talking about this before. How I'm like apparently constantly defending GGG now, and like I thought this was going to be the time because everybody's complaining about Harbinger. I'm like, I'm okay with Harbinger, but now I look like the ultimate GGG shill
I'm
because I was
sorry.
like, maybe DClara has got something good to say about Harbinger.
Listen, you
No.
should have told me this before. I could have planned something now. Or I could have said something different. But no.
No.
Honestly, everyone that watches my stream knows I can't stand Harbingers. I rage at them. Can't stand them.
I liked the beachhead map at least. I thought the beachhead map was pretty fun.
It was
cool.
like fine if you didn't chain it. Chaining it is
I
pretty
mean,
bad.
it was a bit meta destroying in that, like,
Yeah.
it was so efficient just to chain it like crazy. But just sitting in a couple Harbinger maps though was pretty, I don't know, just kind of like good fun chill time. Just it was nice to have a change of pace from always having boss fights to the boss fight is now a crap ton of mobs. Like that was strangely something we haven't seen before in PoE, which is weird given that PoE is all about killing shitloads of mobs. So that was a nice kind of change of pace. I enjoyed it.
No, I agree with that. It's like it's one thing I re-experienced in Turmoil, and it's one thing I missed from Perendus. So like when Perendus came out, I was like, "Farm Solaris, let's go, baby!" And I loved that idea of doing the same zone over and over again because it reminded me of like old school ledge farming, fell shrine farming, and stuff. And that's like gone now. So having stuff where it's you have this slight change of pace. I just want to do this for like 20 hours. Just reset this one zone over and over again. I do agree with that, Ziggy. It is nice having that like option of something different. So Yeah. Hopefully,
I
it's-
remember
it's-
Tarke. That's what you did with Parandis. I remember I was like, oh, I need coins, but I don't want to do this. And you were like around or something, and you were like, dude, you should check out Solaris. It's like the best shit ever. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what a ski one.
The thing with Harbinger maps is I would always get a little bit worried because they're so expensive and they're so rare to come by. I would always feel bad if I wasn't running them in a group of 6. And so I would force myself to run them in a group of 6 for the increased XP, and I would get like 1 frame every 10 seconds, and that just made it really unenjoyable. Like regardless of the XP gain, it just like I just felt like shitty just running those maps, and so I ended up just kind of just staying away from them eventually, just not running them with people.
They also had the issue that you'd never want to use the orbs and stuff, which wouldn't go into a red beachhead also. It was this. It had this really weird efficiency thing because I was in the exact same issue. So like Ziggy, I quite enjoyed doing them solo, and I mostly play groups. And I'd be like, oh, okay, let's just duo a couple of quick. Like, no, it's so inefficient, mate. Because that's the thing. If you have 1 map, you have 6 maps because you just make a rota. So it's like I would literally like, please, can we just do it the 2 of us? I want to enjoy it. Because the second you're in a group, it's like we have some Necro Bros. I'm holding down right click. Fuck it. I'm going to make a T. I'm coming back. I'm getting XP.
It never fucking works. I remember when I would like when Untainted Paradise came out, you would like run Untainted Paradise and you would like run it with 1 or 2 people, and then 2 weeks later you're messaging one of your friends and you're like, hey dude, could you help me out with this? And he's like, who are you? I'm like, what do you mean? We play together all the time. He's like, oh, it's you. I removed you from my friends list because you ran Untainted Paradise by yourself. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm just, what the hell? I feel like
you didn't offer
just
it to
Dab
me?
2.0. Yeah, you didn't message me about it. I'm like, yeah, I just felt like playing by myself. You know, I like having more than 15 FPS.
That's also one thing that I'm really looking forward to about Abyss League, even if it turns out to be a league I don't enjoy. It's black and green, not like fuck off neon blue. I have like light sensitivity, and Harby was just the right shade of I'm going to screw you over. You're like, oh, this is alright, this is right. You're just like, please. And there's, I can see the map. I was playing a Magma Orb build, and I was complaining about like the color of the Harby mobs, right? It's like, this is terrible. So I'm glad that GG's kind of going back to the like spoopy roots of, you know, blacks, greens, greys, you know.
I hope they come out with the Challenge League packs. Because I was waiting for black and green armor when they made that announcement, and now there's no black and green armor.
Well,
there's
we're
only
going to
chicken
get
armor.
the Abyss supporter packs. Like, it's been confirmed you'll have those, and I'm also looking forward to green armor sets because there are like 2. But yeah. We'll get like probably like with Harby how they had like the low tier, which is like a weapon and like a portal, and then probably like a $60 which would be like a full set and a pet. Because obviously if you release like a big $480 expansion, you know they also be like, and for $350 you can also get a slightly green set, by the way.
It's just a recolor.
Yeah.
Recolor
So
the
I would
chicken
expect
set.
a $60 set for Abyss. Hopefully.
But how good can
bet.
these look? Honestly, it's like things
Dude,
that
they
come
look
out of the
badass.
ground.
They can look awesome, man.
Black and green. It's like skeletons and stuff, and like you can get like more Cthulhu-ish kind of things with this.
Oh, that would be cool.
Ghost
the
flame
Elder looks like that.
skeletons.
Yeah.
Ghost flame skeletons.
I don't know, when I
Oh.
think about that, I'm just thinking like the like old survival dudes that you see in like old books where they're just wearing like camo armor, and it's just like, how good can this look really? A guy covered in mud? I don't know.
I mean, have you seen the Harbinger packs? Looks pretty good, guys.
Yeah, it's especially the last one, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, with that then, Ziggy, can you please educate us on a brief TLDR of the War for the Atlas mechanics? Really easy task. Go for it, mate.
Alright, so you know how we had the big bad final boss of Pee-wee to own all bosses? Well, now there's another one. Ooh! I really thought we'd get like an alternative to Adziri before we got an alternative to Shaper, but there you go. So Shaper is now being taken on by the Elder, who seems like some kind of Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu kind of thing. And he's engaging in war, and this is being represented through Atlas mechanics, and this is kind of what the community was asking for, with this kind of like weather system moving through the Atlas, changing it up and potentially encouraging you to play different maps instead of just the one map over and over again. And the way they're going about this is by having a territory control system between the two factions. So Shaper will be controlling maps and Elder will be controlling maps, and when you run those maps, they will have Shaper things in them or they will have Elder things in them. And then once you defeat that map, you will remove that ownership of that map from that faction. So if you run all the Shaper maps and clear them all out, then the Elder will take control and get the dominant control over the Atlas. And if you're able to do that, then the Elder will be the final boss that you fight. Now, there's another kind of twist on it. He actually also has his own set of Guardians, and they can take over not just the actual Guardians surrounding the Shaper, which he can do as well, but he can also overtake bosses from any other map that he possesses as well. So once his corruption spreads far enough, some of the maps in that area will get, like, I think it was purple, and it'll say has a Elder Guardian, and when you go to the boss of the map, the Elder will pop out, one-shot the boss, and replace it with a portal to one of his Guardians. So this is interesting because it brings engagement with like this high level kind of thing, the Guardians, which was previously reserved to the very top tier of maps. So your more casual players and stuff wouldn't really get to engage with it. It brings it to all tiers of maps. So you can go into a tier 1 map that has a Guardian in it and potentially gain access to some of the uniques that are available or something like that. So we don't know much about like the drops and things, but it's pretty safe to assume that Elder is going to have his own set of uniques, probably some OP ones. The other element to this, there's a lot to this. The other element to this is that there's also going to be Shaper and Elder rares. And we got a bit more information from Chris Wilson about this, so I guess this is a good time to bring that up. But basically, these items will drop from any mobs in these maps. Is it any mobs or is it any of their specific mobs? Because there's like specific Shaper and Elder mobs, I think.
From the way I asked the question, I said, can they drop from trash mobs? And he said, it has not been confirmed previously, but they can currently drop from any monster in those areas, in brackets, rarely. So they'll drop from any monster in the map.
Now, the interesting thing here, and this is the big kicker and the new information and the clickbait for the podcast, is that they can just drop as regular items and you can craft them. So you will see an item that will have a Shape or Elder background. It'll have some void behind it or some tentacles behind it. You can pick that sucker up and then chaos spam the unique set of mods that are available to each of these. So each Shaper and Elder will have their own pool of unique mods, which include things that can't normally spawn on the item. So like added lightning damage to spells on a helmet or something. And probably more excitingly or more impactful, I guess, is a lot of added sockets effects, basically. So supported by level 18 hypothermia or something like that. So we're seeing a lot more kind of like 5-link and 6-link items in slots that wouldn't normally have them, like one-handed swords and helmets and things. So pretty huge stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty huge stuff.
That's the one thing, because I was trying to tell my mate that like these like 8-link items, if you're essence crafting helms, he's like, no, you won't be able to essence them. You can scour essence craft these. So Lighty made a really good video about it, which is worth checking out. So it looks like you can get up to 3 of the like socketed links. So on a 4-link item, that's like a 7-link. And then if you essence craft 30% more ele damage, you're looking at like an 8-link helm, which is like pretty insane. And one other thing which is important to clarify, which Chris did clean up for us. So as Ziggy was saying, when you complete one map, it changes the territory control. By complete, that means kill the boss. And I asked Chris, if, for example, Dunes was in Elder control, you could run Dunes, kill all the mobs, not kill the boss, and it would still be in Elder control. And that is the one thing which really scares me about this system, because that's potentially just setting up, like, Shaped Maps 2.0, where you just, like... You set up your Atlas correctly, you pick your one thing, you push, like, Elder around so you get Elder or Shaper into the map you want, and then you just grind that map. And as long as you never kill the boss, the corruption won't move. And that really scares me. Because the second he said that, I was like, the system's kind of broken. And that's why I was talking to Carve earlier, like, you'll either love or hate this.
I was gonna ask that, yeah. If that's what you meant.
Yeah. So that really scares me. I'm curious, what do you think, CuteDog? Because you're like the main like map bro out of us lot.
I'm pretty sure that everyone's gonna do that anyways, right? Like once the initial appeal of it wears off. So I think what people are gonna do is they're gonna just clear the atlas the first time around, and what is it, 150 something now, 158 maybe, and then they're just gonna like spend the sextants or whatever to redo it once the so-called like meta comes out, because I mean, like let's be honest, the way that Chris said it in this doc is he says rarely, right? So they rarely drop the Shaper Elder items. And then if you chaos, that's also a rare roll. So what are the chances that you're just going to find a good like helm, gloves, boots with the 2 supports that you want, and then it has a decent enough stats? Like for example, boots. Let's say it also has like boost speed. It's going to be near impossible to find one that you might actually use unless you're in like solo self-found. And because of that, I still think that most, like I guess you would call them like hardcore people, not like hardcore league, but like more like power gamers, will just run the best maps, like the 1 or 2 best maps over and over and over again. Unless the one thing that Chris said is that, you know how in the video he mentioned these like corrupted maps or like Shaper Elder maps are more rewarding. Now I don't know what he means by that. Okay, like maybe he means more rewarding as in it can drop those items, and if that's it, then people are still gonna run the same map 10,000 times. First 2 weeks I think people are going to try everything. After that it's going to be the same thing as before, but I mean it's still better, because if you look at the new atlas, I mean there's like 8 sextant possibilities on certain places. There's like some pretty crazy stuff that you can do with it, as long as like the sextants are within range. So I think sextants are going to be a lot more valuable this league as well.
Damn, sounds like a lot of power creep there.
Yeah.
Have they talked about any sort of downsides to either the itemization or the system itself? Like, do we just make a decision what's the better thing amongst these amazing things? Or I don't think so, right?
Like,
because from what I've seen on the items, like some of them had like 5 affixes, 3 prefixes, 2 suffixes, and then 3 skills attached to them. So it doesn't even seem like it's either taking up affixes or anything.
It hasn't been confirmed, but Lighty made a really good video, and he was going through all the items we've been shown, and he was working out what they're joint to. And so, for example, the item I'm currently showing, it's quite clear here that some things are linked. So this is a hubris circlet with sports gems by level 18 remote mine, and then also has place an additional mine. That's clearly like the same role. And then it has hypothermia, increased effective chill. So that's like the same role. So if you look at it that way, it's got minion gems, mine roll, hypothermia roll, added damage to spells, life, and then block recovery. So it's a 6-stat item, but it's got these rolls aren't like an individual. It's like they have groupings, and then they also have, for example, the added lightning, which you can't normally get on a helm. So that's like pretty nuts. And he was doing this with like all the different items, and like one of the swords, for example, has 3 support gems linked into it.
Right, that makes sense. So then, like, the place additional mine would be tied to the remote mine. Exactly. The hypothermia would be tied to the effective chill.
Yeah, so they're like they're hybrid rolls, basically.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting concept. You kind of have to give up on some things, but in a way, I just wonder how rare it's gonna be, you know, for it to be sort of acceptable. Because I think a lot of people for the longest time were complaining like rare items don't have enough power. Like, you can't really find a rare item that really stands out a lot, and people are like, unique items are getting out of hand, and they wanted that classic D2 feel. And maybe this is a step in that direction. I mean, this is definitely a step in that direction. It just seems pretty spoopy.
Chris has really been stressing quite a lot about how rare these are. Yeah. So, and we've been getting kind of a lot of people asking, like, we need more chase items. So I think this is probably like the chase item. Like, you're going to invest a shitload into trying to craft a good one of these. I could see like you getting something that's like, hey, this is like a replacement for a cheap 5-link. And you're like, cool, that's cool.
It's not a cheap 5-link.
So I mean, I could see that's like you getting some kind of crappy ones, like maybe you find a helmet doesn't have any life or resist or anything, but it's like, but this is kind of like a 5 link or maybe like a 6 link or something, so that's kind of cool. So maybe we'll get a bit of that, but to get the really good ones though is going to be those chase rares, which is interesting because we haven't really had too much in the way of chase rares apart from like that really GG weapon rolls or some like really GG jewelry and stuff like that, steel rings and such. So some more chase rares could be interesting.
It's gonna be nice to see some 500 exalt helms or gloves or something.
And that's the thing.
If they randomize it right between all the support gems or even like most of the support gems, and it is a rare like T0 roll or something, like come on now, that's gonna be
they have
quite
said,
tough to crack.
Like they have said that they're specific, so they gave the example of 2 weapons, a Shaper weapon and an Elder weapon. I might get them in the wrong order, but I think it was the Elder weapon was Fizz themed. So it had like brutality and multi-strike.
Okay.
And the shape one was crit themed. It had crit and crit damage. So basically, you would learn like which one's for you. So it's like, oh, I'm playing this build, so I'm gonna set my Atlas up to farm shaper items. I then get a shaper base and I spam crafter. The one thing that I really like about this is like a massive nerf to trading, because how are you meant to search for this on PoE Trade? So it's kind of like you buy the base item and then you craft it yourself kind of thing.
For me, it's like opposite, where it's like there is only one of these items and only one person has it. And like if I want it, it's like insane to find it, first of all, and then insane to buy it second. So in a way, like I kind of like it. Okay, so even though I don't like trading, the perspective of there always being something out there that will, no matter what, improve my build is pretty cool, I think. Because right now it's like you've only got these set items, so you trade like once for your full set, second time for your full set, and then like maybe if you get like a bunch of currency, you buy like 1 item or 2 items. But now you can have this like single item that if you're leveling to 100, you can like track all the way up, and then eventually you get it once you have the money for it. I just wonder if it's going to be actually worth it at that point, because it gets so, like, what is the goal of the game right now, right? Like, to some it's to kill bosses, but to majority is to get to a certain level and then reroll another thing, right? So will these items actually be frequent enough so that people can plan to get them? Or will they just be like, well, I could buy this one item, or I could get another character to level 95 and fully gear it,
I mean, if you get one for generic enough mods, and also the thing which I meant, chat, is because there are so many possibilities for this, it's like if you've ever like set up whoops for jewels, and you have like your like 50 different affixes for jewels, you're gonna have like that for these items. So what I mean by that is, if you're dedicated, you will find it, but the average person won't. There's a reason why most guides recommend unique items, because the average person doesn't know how to search for like rare daggers, for example. So in that sense, I feel like this kind of nerfs low. You guys know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah. No, I get that.
But like if you got, for example, a generic one. So in the case of the one they showed off, where it's like you have this sword and it's linked to crit strikes, crit damage. You get a pretty nutty sword with attack speed, crit strikes, crit damage. You can shove that on any caster build, basically.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we had more info, because like it can be one of two things, where it's gonna be like Ziggy said, which is what I'm kind of hoping, where the majority of the items will be like either a stepping stone or like a decent item until you buy something more. That kind of this is kind of a 5-link, it's kind of a 6-link, maybe it's a 7-link, but I'm losing a lot of things. Like you have a lot of decision making behind it, but it might also end up like a lot of the legacy items, right, where they will just fucking completely unobtainable to like 99% of the player base. Yeah, sure, there's 1,000 HP comes hard, so what? I just hope it's not going to be something like that. But then again, if this stays in the game, then it's really something to look forward to long term, as long as these items are a little bit more interesting, and from what we're seeing with they're build enabling rather than what Legacy was, where it's like, well, 500 more HP doesn't really do much for me. I have more HP. Well, here it's like, well, I can use a different ability. I can link this. I can have 3 6 links now or something like that. So in that way, they're definitely a lot more interesting, I think.
I have a tinfoil hat thing. What if they only allow the searching of these support mods on the PoE Trade official website, pathofexile.com/trade, and then you have to use their new trade site, and that's why they put it into the new league, so you have to use their new site, and then. Never mind. That's probably not true.
You know who I feel really sad for? You know who I feel really sad for, though? The Xbox players. Because they just search for, like, a base item, right? So if they're trying to find, like, this helm, they just search, like, helm. And have to go through, like, every helm ever listed to then try and find the Shaper helm. Then try and find the Shaper helm with the right stats for their fucking build. Like, dude, what? That's what I'm saying. It's enough yeah.
People are under the impression that the developers want people to kill monsters and then trade on the side. No. They want them to trade and then sometimes kill some monsters, you know? We just want a repeat of Diablo 3. Let's go. But yeah, that's a great... Imagine looking for one of these. Like, what the hell? It's impossible. And they said that they're going to implement it, right?
Yeah.
In Xbox at the same time.
They said it'll be launched a week after. But it's coming to Xbox. I'm curious, so as someone who's, like, new to the game, because we're coming at this from, like, this is ruining our old memories of, like, what do you think of these items, out of interest?
I think they're really cool. Like, when I saw, like, rings and helmets with mods on them that I had never seen before, I was like, wow, that has a lot of potential. But I don't know if I agree about the fact that we can craft them, just kind of, like, take the base and just, like, kind of do what we want with it. I think that, in my opinion, it should be kind of like a gift. Like, this is such a special occasion. It should be a drop, and then whoever's build it's meant for, it should be able to use it. Because I think that it can be abused to kind of be super overpriced, and, like, I don't know. I just don't agree with the ability that we're allowed to craft them. But I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that, and that's on them. But I'm really excited that these new items are going to be available to us.
I'm excited about how enticing it's going to be to want to exalt them, right? You get like one with 5 stats, and you're like, if I exalt this, can I get one of the additional new stats? Will I get like 2 support gems additional if I exalt this item?
Exalting like multi-strike? How hard would you just like criticism? Like,
I know, right? That's
like you like exalt wed. Oh my god, that's so nutty.
Yeah, I think I don't know. The trading thing is the crafting thing is an interesting point. I think. I wonder if if you're like crafting it with 800 chaos or something, and then you don't get it. It's like I think it still might feel like a gift if you eventually get it. I really wonder. Yeah, the rarity of it I think is the big factor here.
You know,
that's true. It's just coming from someone who has never had like an abundant amount of currency in the league. I think maybe at one point I've had at most 5 or 6 exalts, and I always use them like immediately because Legacy League get up my exalts with reliquary keys, and last league get up my exalts with ancient orbs. There's just always some way you can gamble your money away if you're feeling like risky in PoE. So there's just like for me, I wouldn't want items like that to be super craftable and super overpriced to the point that I couldn't afford them. But maybe it'll be different. I don't know. Let's see.
Shit,
first
honestly,
weeks. Whoops.
Yeah, you go.
No, Raiz, please, my friend.
Yes, sir. I shall go. I'm even shocked you honestly have any idea about this stuff. I remember when I started playing, because you've been playing under a year now then, right?
Like
I remember when I
months.
played. Yeah, I remember when I played for like 2 fucking years. If they would have shown these items to me, I would have just been like, what? Like I wouldn't even recognize that they've got new stats or anything like that. I'm even shocked that you can tell that these items have like different values and shit.
You gotta remember when you're streaming though, right? You got a lot of help from chat.
Maybe,
They'll tell you when you make a mistake, so you learn pretty damn fast.
Yeah, chat is definitely a big help, and streaming every day and stuff. I mean, you definitely learn at a faster pace than someone who's just playing the game just regularly, has a day off work and just hops on PoE. Playing it every day definitely speeds up your learning process for sure.
Yeah, without like streaming, having someone like tell you what you're doing wrong, you just like some of the stuff in PoE, you need someone to tell you, or else you're never picking it out. So
yeah, exactly.
They definitely do. You don't have to tell chat. Hey, chat, point out all my mistakes, please. I want to learn as fast as possible.
They're gonna tell you.
Yeah.
We got you for sure.
And there's also a lot of like helpful guides on YouTube that I watch, like especially for solo self-found about crafting. I find that a lot of people in chat, they know a lot of general stuff, but not so much the nitty-gritty. And sometimes I do find myself asking, does anyone know like how to do this? And I just like wait, and no one knows. And so I go and watch some YouTube videos like that help with crafting and crafting bases and how to do that. And so yeah.
But that's that's part of the strength of the PoE community. I remember when for a little bit I like played Diablo 3 with Doogie, and there was something with like we ended up basically making like the best support guide in Diablo 3, and the only reason for that was at the time anyway. The only reason for that was that whenever I asked about anything, nobody had any fucking idea like what anything did, and I would like Google things, no fucking clue. Nobody made anything. I'm like, how does this interact with each other? People are like, I don't fucking know. And in PoE, you can actually Google and like check things out specifically, and it really creates. So that's a really big thumbs up to the PoE community, I think.
Yeah.
I want to hear what CuteDog said. CuteDog was saying something. I interrupted him.
I was talking about the whoops on the PoE trade. I think the first 2 weeks are going to be pretty interesting because obviously the most used filter is what never syncs, right? So new players, they get to maps, they're gonna use some an already done filter and make these like other and shaper items like massive on the screen. So like the biggest thing for new players, like what do I pick up? And since it's safe to say that we're going to have more players in 3.1 than ever before. So the fact that if we can get like most of these players to maps, and with that many people playing, there's going to be so many people like picking up these special items that hopefully if you set up your whoops correctly the first like few days, first couple weeks, you're going to be able to snack some like crazy stuff that comes on there that people don't have like, that combination set up for. So it'll be pretty interesting to see. And those people will have no idea like if that's good or not, right? They'll throw it into like just some like maybe like 2C tabs.
Scamming.
Like, oh man.
Oh my god! Imagine if they make it like
potential.
really annoying. Like imagine, because right now, if it's a sword, you don't pick up like 99% of the bases. You only have like one-handed sword enabled in your filter for the most part. Like imagine if they make it like, well, now you can also pick up level 1 swords. Like you have a rusted hatchet or something. And this rusted hatchet can roll caster mods. Like it can have a 3-link with Spellic or something. So now you need to pick up stuff like that, and it's like really annoying. Holy shit! That'd be crazy.
Really worry about Neversync. Like when he saw that, if I was him, I would have been more upset than excited because he must have a lot of work to do now with how this works.
They'll probably have a class tag to the item. So just if it's classed as an elder or shaper item, like you could probably see the background even unID'd, right? And then bam, you just make that thing like the exalted.
But like that's the one thing that worries me though is like you guys, Ziggy, you probably know about this, right? So like you made the official like Ziggy filter once, and then you'll have some random dude who's using like a 5-year-old filter and hasn't ever updated it. That's what really worries me about this, is that anyone who's kind of late to the party won't have updated filters. So it's like, yeah, good luck.
I think they're gonna talk about this though. Like I think we're being a little bit naive here, thinking that Neversync hasn't known about this thing for like a couple of weeks at least already. Like considering they've like incorporated him with the Xbox release and everything, and making filters for that. I think he's known for a while about all of this stuff, and he's probably been working on it for quite a minute.
Yeah. And for those of us that use our own, like obviously they released that list of new classes and base types and stuff, so we just like stack that onto the first part of our own filters, and then it's fine.
That's fair. I guess it's just
food.
Oh, go on.
I was going to change topic, so if you got something else to add to that, go for it.
I'll just quickly say before we move on, since some people are confused, Chris said there is absolutely no limitation. So yes, you'll be able to mirror them. You'll be able to do anything you want to them, and the mods will be rare. The items will be rare. So yeah, go on, Ziggy.
So I'm still on the rare topic, just kind of like shimmying back to it. Food for thought. PoE, sometimes known as a one-skill spam game. It has sometimes that reputation, maybe. These could be interesting for that. If my kind of supposition is correct that these guys, you might be able to find some of these that are like, this is kind of like another 6-link or something, but not the incredible Essence crafted 10-link item. Then if we're seeing some of those kind of like middling ones that like are an additional 6-link, then we might start seeing people run both a single target and an AoE skill. Maybe a third skill like an extra totem in their build or something. I don't know. What do you think?
Maybe some weapon swaps.
Oh, that would be
Yeah,
really
too.
fun. Weapon swapping for like 5 different skills. I think they're clearly trying to push that. They like when they buffed Months of Life, they're trying like, hey guys, here's some options. Oh, Tempest Binding, by the way. Here, try it out. And like Tempest Binding, they've clearly tried this because when they made Tempest Binding, everyone looks like, what is this item? This is so broken. It has 2 extra links and life and resist, and they're just like, yeah, we're making like 12 links. Don't worry, bro. Like, wait for that. But yeah, like, that is one thing which will hopefully come from it. And the one thing which scares me about that, though, is if they're purposely trying to push that gameplay of, like, we'll have multiple things, we're buffing Monster Life to be really high, when these items are super rare, won't that just be even more punishing to less experienced players going in who don't know that I'm meant to have more than just this, and I'm meant to have this 8-link item, you know?
I think that for newer players, it doesn't really matter, because when I was a newer player, I remember I was so surprised when I got to Act 2, and I didn't even notice the time go by, and I was on that for, like, days. Like, clear speed meta wasn't even a concept in my head. I was just enjoying the mobs that I was going along and, like, playing with my friends. I don't think that, you know, if new people have to spend a little bit, like maybe a few extra seconds on certain mobs, I don't think they'll really notice, especially like if they're new. I don't think they'll notice. I don't think they'll really be obsessed with clear speed and be able to really compare it to what it was anyways. So I don't think it'll be that much of a factor for them, honestly, coming from personal experience.
I think what Ziggy brought up was a very interesting point, because I'm now thinking, like, how does this sort of mentality tie in with all the new abilities they're releasing, right?
They're like combo abilities as well.
Yeah, they're almost all combo abilities. So that could be an interesting push from them. I wonder if people would like that, actually. Because the too many buttons, that's already a complaint on some builds. Sure, the majority of the stuff out there is click one button and it blows up. Whoa, Ziggy.
I'm just like, I'm getting excited for the prospect that maybe they're making PoE not so mindless. They're nerfing Vulpact.
Yeah, Mob's
they're
fighting
giving
back.
us combo skills. Maybe adding tougher enemies.
Like, if you think about, especially even just small things like Arcane Surge, like, they're clearly trying to push it. It's just like, we're going to give you these temporary buffs if you've used your Arcane Surge skill recently. We're making bosses more spoopy. Like, I've just put up the new skill gem on Earth. It's like, use this to make corpses for this. They're clearly trying to, like, stretch that out. So, you know, it is potentially really interesting. And it's also kind of fun. The one thing which does make it a little bit annoying, though, and it depends on how they do new things. So with the build that both me and Raiz played recently, the whole, like, Blight, you know, you mess around, you have, like, Blade Vortex applying Decay, so you maintain that, you then do Blight, you can then drop a Wither Totem or an Abyssal Cry or an Essence Drain for extra damage. It feels really great, but it also feels very bad when, for example, you don't know how long your Blade Vortex lasts for. Yeah. I actually started putting an Arcane Surge into my Blade Vortex, so I had a timer for it. So I knew that when my Arcane Surge wore out, I had 1.25 seconds to refresh it before I lost my Blade Vortex.
Shit, that's smart. I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I'm really excited to play more builds like that, because it does feel really nice when you have that build and it's like, oh, I feel smart because I've snuck this extra thing in there. But at the same time, I could also see people who just, like, their thumbs and fingers are falling off and, you know, flash macro, by the way, haha, you know, it's just like...
The kind of, like, interesting kind of overview thing to this, like it's probably obvious to some people, but just in case, this is part of the core expansion, not the Challenge League. This seems like a Challenge League thing, right? We got this war happening for the Atlas, and we got these really crazy rare items, but this is a core game mechanic being added. Potentially a permanent thing, like, unless it's awful and they're like, oh, we need to just change all of this. This is they're committing to this for the core game, so I'm sure they're, like, taking this pretty seriously and thinking about the long-term implications of these rares and thinking about you know, what direction is this going to take the game in terms of like adding these like extra linked items that you can use instead of a chest or a two-handed weapon? So I think they have like a bit of a kind of a goal with this in mind, since it is planned to be a permanent mechanic.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's so brave because it's literally once you add this, you can't just be like, oh, we're just removing this core feature, this core expansion. By the way, what were you gonna say?
But that's the I was thinking the exact same thing, and I think they would have never really done something like this if this wasn't one of those things that they've been kind of discussing for like ever, right? Where this expansion was supposed to be like this compilation of things. I think this is something that they've been testing on they must have been testing this on the down low for so long. Especially now, because it's like, well, we just released our biggest expansion, by the way, 3.0, by the way. Here's a new expansion. Oh, we're like changing the entirety of the game, 1 month in the work. Like, that would either be an insane risk or they must have been just planning it forever, which is pretty freaking cool.
I feel like they've definitely been planning it forever, right? Like this stuff has been pretty long time in the works, but I feel like the decision to do this back to back is like both on we need to get an experience, something big out for Christmas, obviously the business decision side of that, but also the idea of like we just got a bunch of new players with this expansion. It went really well. And we need to like really consolidate both the end game and also work on some of PoE's issues of being like 2-1 skill spammy or not having enough chase items and stuff like that to really like suck the souls out of their husks, their dry, lifeless husks of bodies.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Where Crisp is always like, I want players to die. Like, I don't even want them to make it out of Act 1. Like, this is part of it. Oh, you guys are new to the game? You figured out certain things? Well, go fuck yourself, because we're gonna fuck all your shit up. And they're just like, scrap all items, change itemization completely. Like, jeez. That's a lot.
It does. I'm really excited, but I'm also kind of scared. I made a video like a week or two back because me and Yoji were talking about Earthquake, and I just like watched one of Yoji's old videos, and I just said like it's crazy to think how much the game has changed just looking back like 4 leagues. Imagine where we'll be in 4 leagues time, and then they drop this. It's like, dude, it hasn't even been more than half a year, and like, we joked about Ascendancy being power creep. They gave us 2 more Ascendancy points. We're like, this is so insane power creep. And they're like, oh, if you've got, like, a chest, that's a 6 link. With 3 extra links on it, so that's like a 9 link. It's like, what the fuck? Like...
That'd be pretty cool.
I just, like, at this point, it's like, it's just easier. It's just easier to go play Diablo 3, man. Like, it's because this is going to take me 6 months to learn. Like, I'd rather just chill out with D3. Why not? God.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's I don't know, like, do you guys maybe think we're getting to a point, because that's always been a huge concern in PoE, right? Where things were hard to get into, not just because a lot of things were very cryptic, but also there's just a lot to learn and a lot to understand. And even if you're focusing on a single build out of like 1,000, by the way, it's just difficult to really get into it. Like, would this be something? Wouldn't this be a little bit much for like a newer player? Like, I remember when I was playing for 3 months, I played a lot and I had very little comprehension of what the hell was going on around me. And this is like a big rework, isn't it? Would it be a concern for a lot of people where they're like, yeah, I already don't know what's going on?
I guess Lara's like a good person for this. You started playing the most recently out of all of us. I'm not saying like you don't know what you're doing. Like, I'm not saying it's like Lara starts her stream and goes, "Ooh, what does this do, chat? Like, how do I like press? How do I log in? You know?"
This isn't World of Warcraft, Tarke.
But
yeah. I was honestly too busy correcting someone's grammar in chat, and I actually didn't hear the question.
smooth, Tark, smooth. No, we were asking if like.
I was like, Y-O-U-R-E, Y-O-U-R-E, and then I hear you're talking to me. I'm like, fuck.
God, I did the same thing on Xenos podcast when I was first there. It was the same thing. They were like, "What do you think about that?" Yeah. But no, we were talking about how just like these really rapid changes, right? Because if they had a little bit more of a D3 approach, Necromancer after 2 years, by the way, that's pretty easy to get into and like stick around, right? While now they're doing pretty major changes almost, pretty much back to back. So do you think there are people out there who are scared off by that, or is everybody just looking forward to new content?
I think that the newer people like me are just looking forward to new content. Honestly, I'm just like at this point, I'm just looking at it. I'm just like, they're completely changing what Velpact is. Cool. I wonder what I can do with that. They're changing around the map atlas. I mean, it sucks that I'm gonna have to do excavation cells, like sulfur waste, like caverns so early on. But I keep thinking, oh, I'll get over with it early on, and then it's gonna be like good maps that I can like farm consistently, like I'm just looking forward to the new stuff, honestly. Like I don't harbor any negative feelings towards the new league.
Okay. I was just thinking if it can get scary to that point, because this is fast.
The one.
Yeah, I was just saying that we had it easy,
Yeah.
Because when
definitely.
I started playing, it was like 12 months of hardcore, and then it was like we're releasing a new league, and that was pretty crazy already, because that was the first league ever, Onslaught. And it was like 8 months of Onslaught or something, So in that time, yeah, there were balance changes on the alongside this, but things weren't changing nearly as rapidly as they are now.
I feel like this is just kind of the PoE skill tree again. The people that PoE appeals to, and we're getting a lot more broad appeal with PoE now, and that mostly comes into play for like leveling, playing through this cool storyline, there's big bosses, and it's all flashy and shit. But the opening the PoE skill tree moment and being overwhelmed, you got like people kind of falling out of the side. They're like, oh fuck this, I'm gonna go play something else. Or you got people who are like, whoa, that's amazing, and then they're like, that's got 'em. I feel like once those people have gotten to endgame, so more people are getting to endgame, and then they're like seeing this, they open the Atlas for the first time, there's like this war going on and shit, and they're like all these roads, and they get to explore around, and like, oh my god, there's so many mechanics, and they're like, that's amazing. So I don't think it's like too much of an issue for it to be a little overwhelming when it's at endgame, especially. Probably better that than earlier on.
I never thought about it that way. Holy shit, like if you're a new player and you open up the skill tree for the first time and you're like, you get a heart attack, and then you get to maps, and somewhere in the middle you saw that famous quote from Chris Wilson. It's like, once the player gets to maps, I obtain their souls or something. But then they get to maps and they have that in mind, and they open up and it's like the Atlas, and you just see that you're in corners, and you see 150 something. It's like, what the hell, dude? This is like another skill tree. And now
I just so good about that as well is the clean Atlas probably won't have much of the Elder invasion shit on it either. So you're like, oh, Atlas. Yeah. Oh, I think I get this. You're like, okay, why are my graphics being weird? There's stuff all over my map here. Oh, that's also one thing that I wanted to just caveat into there. So I asked Chris, because when you have the Elder and the Shaper like taken over zones, like the map starts tearing. I said, will this cause any FPS lag? Apparently, he said it has no effect on performance, apparently. So for people worrying about just more like ground effects. Yeah, just like rain.
And ground effects, yeah.
Yeah, but for apparently it won't like completely tank your system. Hopefully. I don't know.
Damn, I hope they explained that well too.
There's like the black and white effect inside the map.
No, if you look in like some of the map footage, there are like, you know how on the Shaper map you have the starry stuff in the background?
Oh, you're talking about on the actual, like, when you press your Atlas.
No, in the map itself, there are like voids missing from the floor.
Oh,
and you
I
have
see what
like
you're saying.
celestial stars in the background.
I see what you're saying. Got it. So that plus like the black and white plus the Shaper balls and all that stuff. That's pretty cool.
One thing which I do find funny about that though is I like the idea of someone not knowing what's going on. Like, oh, this horrible screen tearing. There's like these black tears all over the place. This is terrible.
Missing textures, really.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, the Shaper realm does seem to run better than maps in general. I think if you're in the Shaper realm, it works well. I don't know if it's just like literally because it's missing things, but you've still got the Shaper background. But yeah, my best FPS is in there.
Yeah, I think it's like it looks really awesome. I love that effect, but I think it is basically just an image, and it just
Yeah.
kind of moves around as you move around. Like it's pretty. I think it's actually like compared to actual textures and 3D objects and stuff. It's like
Jeez,
easy
so
peasy.
what if they are actually like just sneaking in performance improvements with something like this too?
It's probably
Saber helping out the
similar
performance.
to,
Yeah.
for example, you know, in D3 in the Heaven Zone, and like you have the painted backdrop. It's probably similar tech to that, where it's just like this set painted like 2D texture with some light animation, and that's it. And then all the foreground or the map that is all like actual terrain and objects.
Yeah, it's not really like a particle effect or something like
Yeah.
that. It has to be rendered real time. It's just a preloaded asset, I think. So it's like just your hard drive loads it and GG good.
Damn. That's really cool. I hope that's real. Yeah, I want more of that. How do we fix performance issues? Well, you take out half of the map. No problem.
But everyone loves it because it looks awesome.
You can't have mobs in the dead spaces, so mob density too. That's how we fix density, you know?
So what about this war thing? Like, you brought up a really good point, like these concerns, Tarke, about people, it just kind of being like it feeding back into another shaped map meta. Because one of the things I'm really excited is if this does work out like it could on paper, that it could really give you a good incentive to do a variety of more maps in the Atlas, and comboed with the previously announced normalization of XP per hour in maps that Bex announced a little while back. You're not getting punished for branching out into other maps. So those two things comboing together could be really good for increasing that kind of like variety in the end game. So I don't know. What do you guys think of, like, what's going to win out there? Or maybe both. Maybe like the players who want to play the shape map meta can still do that, and then the players who want variety can have variety. And
I think
it
what
works.
it might be is, so Turmoil is a really good example of this, and like this whole kind of like soft guided map thing, they've done it before, like Turmoil, Mayhem, Warbands, Tempest. So for the people who, oh, screw shaped maps, I do 126 completion, you know, those guys, they can chase these and just sort of, it makes that gameplay feel less inefficient. But I do really worry that since with the current system, these items can drop off any mob inside the zone, and Chris has confirmed if you don't kill the boss, it doesn't move it, that we just work out where the new best sextant location is, we set up the new best sextant blocking, we then just push the Elder Corruption if we need Fizz items, or Shaper if we need crit items, we push it onto Gorge, for example, if Gorge is in a good layout now, we never kill Gorge boss, and we just keep going until we get the item. And
yeah,
that really scares me.
I think yeah. No, you
we're
go.
both like pausing. We're both pausing, waiting for the other person to go.
We should have a sign or something. We should go full ice
Shut up.
side and script
My
this
turn to
stream.
speak. Like a little light up thing behind us.
We should all learn Morse code and just blink how many times.
I was just gonna say I was really hoping that this would incentivize the killing of bosses, and that these items would have a bonus chance to drop off bosses, or maybe would drop off like the bosses. I guess it's weird because it's kind of lopsided. So the Elder takes over a boss and spawns in his own Guardian for you to fight, which potentially links to his set of uniques being able to drop, maybe like a tiered system as you move up through the maps or something. So that incentivizes the killing of those. But the Shaper doesn't have bosses. He's just the normal map bosses, in which case, if that is the case, where the Elder has his set of unique items incentivizing boss kills, is the Shaper going to have his extra items that drop from regular bosses? What incentivizes the regular boss kills? So it seems kind of lopsided, so I was really hoping this would incentivize boss kills and give us finally a reward to killing bosses, but...
I mean, they didn't say that they're not going to change like drop rates and stuff from bosses.
It's all TLDR, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the thing that you guys were talking about, it really works itself well into the density changes, and I think a lot of it is this is like the scary part of everything. The density changes to me anyway, because a lot of the drops and everything and the Atlas and the Sextants and them saying to anybody that I guess doesn't know, they said that they're normalizing experience, right, amongst like all maps essentially, so that it should be the same thing. But we still have sextants and like sextant blocking in the game. So if they're not normalizing the experience, taking into account that, which they can't really, like, oh, we make this map for 1 sextant, but for this one we normalize XP for 3 sextants. So it's gonna feel really bad without it. It's gonna feel really good with it. Like, in a way, they're also locking players into certain positions or opening up new opportunities. Or what if they were just like, that would be the easiest solution. It's like you can't second block somehow, but I don't think there's any way that you can do it.
I think it's like, it's one of those things of, and for, again, people who've just seen, like, Chris has confirmed they're very rare, that they can drop off anything. If they could only drop off bosses, this problem would kind of solve itself. Because then the people who want these items would just chase the clear, right? And people who just want to do, like, dunes will only do dunes. Because they can drop off anything, and because the Atlas only changes when you kill the boss, it just promotes someone like CuteDog, who just does maps all day, to just set his Atlas up and just skip bosses.
Maybe they just give...
We're bad with this.
Go on, Cute, go on, Cute.
Murloc. Okay, I was gonna say, like, I mean, once you get your build set, there's no bosses that are an issue, really, right? Like, after the first, I don't know,
No, but that's
week
not
or
the
so.
point, CuteDog. It's not that the bosses are an issue. It's if you kill the boss, it moves where the corruption is on your Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
if
then
you
you
don't
really
kill
shape
the
up.
boss, you keep the corruption only on dunes. I mean, you can get access to these items. Because if
Look
you killed the boss every time, that means you might have to do a cells map, for example, to get these items, which obviously you don't want to do. That's
Look
the
at it
issue.
this way. It'd be like killing the boss, removing one of your sextants.
Exactly.
Every time
it's
you did it.
exactly that. Yeah.
I don't think people are gonna care too much about the Shaper Elder influence on their Atlas after a certain point, after a few weeks. It's not gonna matter. It's gonna be great as a bonus because, like, you know, you see like the cool little Shaper balls going around your map. You see maybe some different mobs. Maybe you see some different graphics in your map. But people are still gonna do the thing that's most profitable, and I don't think, you know, like doing different maps just for the chance of like this this item that you're gonna end up buying anyways, you know, by doing your shape maps easier. I don't think it will matter that much. I'm like really excited about it, but I just don't think it's gonna matter to the point where people think that it's like, oh, I have to like run the cells and then I have to like go back against Shaper Elder by running like the map next to it, and I don't think it's gonna be like that at all.
I don't want to be a dick, but I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying. So, like, okay, so with the way that it's been confirmed to work, if it inhabited dunes, right? If dunes was corrupted, if you don't kill the boss, CuteDog, it never leaves dunes. Meaning you can just only run dunes and get the items drop. You don't need to jump all over the Atlas if you fix it in place.
Wait, my IQ's not high enough to understand this. What are you talking about? The boss not leaving dunes?
Okay,
What?
okay. Every time... Okay. Basic, okay. So, when you complete a map on the Atlas...
Now you're being a dick, by the way.
Yeah.
Before you were okay, now you're being a dick.
When you kill a boss, you move which maps are controlled by Shaper and which maps are controlled by Elder. The new Shaper and Elder items only drop in those maps. So what scares me is that, for example, if Elder corrupts your favorite map, if you chain that map never killing the boss, it never leaves it. Meaning that it just becomes a new way of setting up the shaped Atlas, that you just let 1 or 2 good maps get infested and then you never kill bosses, so your Atlas never changes.
It's like you've got a sextant that's attached to the map.
You only ever lose the
you don't
sextant
kill
if
the
you kill
boss,
the
therefore-
boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You
I
only-
mean, no, I understand that. I'm just saying I don't think it matters either way of those scenarios. If you have a map that you like to run, it's not going to matter whether it's corrupted by Shaper Elder, whether it's not corrupted by Shaper Elder. I don't think it will matter at all.
You don't think
Yeah,
people want to chase the items?
well, you can compare it to like Shipyard, for instance, right? Like you would think like, I want to run Shipyard for crystal belts, but people still don't do it. But then you can also compare it to Shaped Spider Forest, where everybody wants that headhunter, right? And even though it's not really that great of a map, everybody's still running it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think both of you have like a point with that for sure. It's just
We'll have to see.
Yeah, right. You gotta see how like the economy plays out. I mean, like people are if the drop rates for the doctor and stuff like that are still the same, let's say on Spider Forest, and people want to do that because if you get like early doctors, that just speeds up your headhunter progress so much, and that adds a lot of fun. I mean, I would say that getting your headhunter and getting your biscos early on outweighs any kind of fun that could be had with like battling against Shaper Elder or like gaining those properties to your map. At least to me. I know a lot of other people feel that way as well. Whereas it's going to be what is most profitable, and then I'll worry about the fun, like quirky stuff that I can do with the league.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's just I think Raiz summarized it really well with the whole Spider Forest argument. Like people will do Spider Forest because they might get a doctor. They might have to run like 500 or 400 to get a single card drop, but they will run this one actually not that fun map to clear. It's not that fun to do Spider Forest. There's loads of backtracking and stuff. So I think there'll be a lot of people who will just do the equivalent of Spider Forest to maybe get one of these items drop. But I mean, the fact that this is even a discussion goes to show that it's changed the meta. So that in of itself is really good. And also the fact that they are apparently normalizing XP, and we could go from this into the density changes. Because that was one thing which worried me, because they said they wanted to make like all maps give equal XP. So before they announced this, I was thinking, well then, won't people just still only ever run the nice layouts? If all maps give the good XP, you would just do the most enjoyable maps to run. But yeah, what do you guys think about the density changes they talked about?
They didn't give us enough information, at least not yet, right? Like, what are they testing with? Like, what builds are they testing with? And like which maps were they're not gonna normalize across 120 whatever map. Are you kidding me? There's no way. Like, you just can't test that with like their small team. And then you take something like let's say someone's playing Sunder, right? You play Sunder, whether you do a cells or like a canyon is not that different, because once you find the pack, that area, that linear thing of Sunder, it won't get like really blocked in cells. And on canyon, it's not that much better either, because it's like a very small area. But you take Vol Power Siphon, you're telling me that in any instance that like a cells torture chamber is going to be better than like a dunes? No, because like in a cells, when you cast your Vol Power Siphon, it's going to hit the wall, right? And there's no way you can equalize experience for these like tier, I guess you would call them tier 0 clear speed builds. It's impossible. There's no way that the open layouts aren't going to be better by multiple magnitudes. So it's like kind of.
Well, here's the thing. When they say they're normalizing XP or however they put it, what if they're normalizing XP not to a shaped strand or a shaped shore? Yeah. What if they're normalizing it around the cells?
Yeah.
You know? And that's cutting everybody's XP in half.
I mean, if they take the baseline as like a cells, a torture chamber, I think that's really dumb, right? Because that's essentially a nerf to experience overall. And I don't think they like to nerf things, especially when it comes to density and like monsters experience. They know that whenever they nerf that, like with when Beachhead came out, they nerfed overall monsters give less XP. People didn't like that because it takes longer to get to 100. They nerfed density, which like, it's always funny because the first couple weeks, first like month of the league, Reddit is like drowned out by all these like positive things, and it is very exciting. Like there's nothing but positive stuff on Reddit, and after the first month, everyone's like, oh shit, okay, now these like changes are becoming very glaring, monster density. So I don't think they're gonna put us in a situation where people are able to make the claim that, okay, well, they normalize XP, but it was using cells as a baseline, and now the overall XP gain is even worse than before. That's like really bad PR. So I think they'll keep it to shores or something.
Maybe you're still gaining this. Maybe they just increase the amount of XP that the mobs give. But it's like, well, if you're running cells, you've got big packs of mobs because there's just less space to put them in. Mm-hmm. And you can enjoy that. And then people who are on Reddit typing, oh my god, I ran through a strand and there were 14 mobs and blah, blah, blah. Will now have the option of, hey, do I want to kill 20 mobs in a pack, or do I want to kill 5 mobs in a pack when I'm running ashore, or something very open.
I could be wrong. They could do it the right way. I'm sure they can, but it just without the information, like, well, are they using movement skills? Like, it's just how are you
And then
normalizing these
it,
maps with these many skills? If you're using movement or not, if you're using good items, if you're it just doesn't make any sense to me. Especially
One,
sextants as well.
yeah, I think I'll get into that in a bit, but I'm curious to hear your opinion on this. So, as someone who's like new to the whole like Atlas thing, and to be honest, we actually probably kind of got introduced to Atlas at the same time because I took a break from PoE and I started playing PoE again in Breach. So Breach was like my first league with the new Atlas, and I've played since beta, and it took me like 2 leagues to get used to the system. So like, for you, when did you start like, okay, this is shaping? Do you do sextant blocking out of all of that stuff? I'm kind of interested.
I learned about like, man, in Breach I didn't even hit maps. I didn't hit maps in Legacy League maybe till like a little bit through, and then once I got to maps, I was like, wow. And I had these things in my stash called sextants that I just didn't touch them. I knew they were worth something. I knew they were important because they popped up on the loot filter, but I didn't really know what they were. And then I started like learning more about sextants really towards the end of Legacy League, and now I know how to sextant block for something. But like talking about these density changes and like having cells maybe have more XP or just trying to equalize it between maps, in the end, no matter what result they kind of come to, me for myself, I favor convenience over, you know, having more XP in the long run. It's way more convenient for me to run like 3 strands in a row and maybe get less XP than full clearing of cells. That's just how I'm gonna be. It's just way more convenient. And I can't bother going through cells and just going through every little alleyway and just checking every single room. I can't be bothered with it. I don't think they'll be able to, I think they're trying to get more people to play the other maps. I don't think they're gonna be successful in that.
but do you maybe think that's an issue with like the way Path of Exile skills are developed in a way? Like, do you think does the layout in general bother you, or is it the thing that you're killing the mobs with bothers you? Because maybe if there's abilities that really work well with just being in really tight corridors,
That's true.
then it could be more fun.
I think it's partially both because I find that I like my map preference changes based on which skill I'm playing. If I'm playing something like Cyclone, I like having like straightforward maps like Channel or somewhere where my Cyclone can't go like AWOL, like go wherever the fuck it wants to go. But if I'm playing something like Essence Drain, Cells is a fucking nightmare. Like, oh,
Yeah.
turn a new corner, enter a new room, Essence Drain Contagion. Oh, turn a new, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or like maps like Oasis. I love maps like Oasis for Essence Drain, but for Cyclone, it's just like, I prefer something where I can just follow a straight path. So, I don't know. You're right. It's partially due to both just map layout and the skill that you're using.
I'm curious to see if we're gonna get a any like chain buffs to AoE as well, because that might be another way. Because that's a really good point. Is it's like a CuteDog's just like having a little maven in the background there, but it's like, so I tried to play a static strike build for reasons, and I realized that its AoE is like fucking this. So in the current like map setup, it feels god awful. But maybe if like going back to like these shitty little indoor map, tiny little rooms, maybe we can start playing some of these AoE skills again. I don't know. Maybe that might be one of the things because they're clearly like they weren't happy with the state of AoE, and maybe their idea of, instead of like, oh, we'll buff AoE back up, is if we make the tighter maps more attractive. If you want to play those builds, you play it in these scenarios, and if you're playing projectile builds, you play these maps, and everyone can do any map. But I also think it's important to talk about in this whole discussion that they're changing how the rolling maps works, because they've said they've normalized everything, but now every single map mod adds pack size. So I'm guessing, yeah, like, yeah. Like,
How about that?
Yeah, I'm really.
I didn't
curious...
even.
Oh, go on.
Huh? No, I didn't even like. That's what I'm curious about. Like, what are you guys' thoughts? Because I didn't really have any like strong thoughts about it when I saw that. It didn't. I guess it makes Reddit happy. I don't know.
I think it's
Made me happy.
Why? Out of interest.
Made me happy because I was sick and tired of like you know, sometimes I would settle for bad mods if it gave pack density. Because sometimes I would run solo on maps, especially on like maybe solo when I'm playing solo self-found. I would really love having that extra mob density, like to increase the chances of dropping maybe another map. I was so tired of entering like Strand and seeing like already, you know, less than 50 monsters remaining before even moving 2 steps forward. Like, I think it's just going to be a relief now already having that density, not having to worry about rolling a density mod on a map.
In a weird way, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this might be more punishing to like players on a budget, because now you want as many mods as possible on your maps. So it's going to be kind of like, did I get 6 properties, right? Whereas like you'll no longer have the whole like just transmute and go, because the transmute and go is terrible if you're only getting 2 pack size mods.
Yeah.
I don't ever expect players to start varling maps. I think the idea of varling maps is like absurd. Maybe that's a softcore thing, but I think for the lower end, like not having a very good map pool, not having much currency, trying to like chase like as many mods as possible on a map seems really strange to me, because you then want as many mods as possible, making it more likely that your build can't run that map, because there'll be more mods which counter your build. So I think that might make it more expensive. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that though, because okay, so we've got, you know, I like it for one very specific reason. Is because the transition right now from Kitava and like Act 9 and 10 to maps it's like a freebie. Like maps are genuinely easier than Act 10. And Kitava is really hard too, but now if you get into maps and they don't really feel that rewarding unless you start putting currency into them, I think that's a great thing, because obviously those maps will be a lot scarier now if you're alching maps from the very beginning, and therefore it's like a smoother transition, even if it's harder. It probably is a good thing in my eyes.
No,
It's actually an amazing thing. It is truly so like, oh, because, and let me tell you why. So the thing about like when you're deep into the league, right? And you alch, like you're rolling a whole tab of maps. You alch every map, you search for pack size. 85-90% of your rares when you alch and go have pack size mods on it. So whatever, that doesn't matter, right? If we're looking at like 4 mods on a rare map, on average, it's looking at the values that they showed in the videos, you're getting a few more percentage pack size on each rare map. Not a big deal once you're already sustaining. But right now, if you transmute and aug an entire like your inventory full of maps, you're looking at less than half of those having pack size rolls. And so what that means is like when you start the league, you know, it's like, wow, all of these are going to have at least probably 10% pack size on my blue maps when I don't have the money to alch everything.
Whoa,
that's going
you
to be
think that?
way better. I think so.
You think they're going to keep like the mods having 10%, 12%?
Well, I'm going based off of like in the videos they showed when they alched a map, it was 4 mods was 20% and then another one was 17%. So we're looking at around like 4 or 5% per mod. And because when I was like, when I was in Terminal, I was like looking at them, I was like transmute aug, and I was like, holy shit, less than half of these have pack size. So that means in 3.1, you're gonna have around what 8 to 10% pack size on every map at least. That's amazing, right? And compared to where less than half your maps had a pack size roll. So sustain for new players is gonna be better. You'll get to the new maps faster. Once you're up there, once you alch, you're still getting a little bit of a bonus. Obviously, they can't keep like the 10, 12% pack size rolls for each mod, because then you'd be looking at like 50% pack size per rare. But they definitely like halved the bonuses, and then it's amazing. I think it's over across the board. It's a huge buff.
Okay. Oh, I like that. I wonder if that's like their only natural way of just adding mobs, because that's been a huge complaint, right? That there's just not enough mobs. If they're going to do this, or if they're going to do something else. If they're really taking the approach of, oh, you want more mobs? Well, just gotta get good. Gotta put in the currency. Gotta run the hard maps and throw in those sextants too at the same time.
Great.
Yeah.
And also, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, with 30 something more maps, if you do want to do a shape atlas strategy and be like super boring and just grind it out, now, like with that extra Atlas completion bonus, it's gonna be like a little bit easier to bump up the lower tiers into the shape maps you want anyways. So it's so good. I can't wait.
I guess that's also an interesting point. Depending which tiers they added the new maps to, that might also stop people from shaping. So if they added, for example, 32 maps all 1 to 9, that would make the current shaped meta even more powerful. But if they added the 32 maps all in like 11 plus, then that would kind of be like a slight nerf, because if you're only doing like 111, 112, maybe no 13, well, no, sure, 13, then maybe no 14, 115 maybe, then you're going to have way less completion than the other dude. So that might also be a smart way that they've tried to shuffle things around. And also, what did you want to say? Sorry, Ziggy.
Oh, I think it's a pretty big step in the right direction. For quite a long time now, I've been complaining that the map system was pretty backwards in terms of mods. That having like a triple damage crit fucking death map gave you no reward in return for it, you know? So that was it's a pretty big step. I was hoping more for a little bit more of a deeper kind of answer to it in terms of a synergy system. When you start getting like, hey, this has got added lightning and crit, those two things meld together to give you a bonus because you've gotten two mods that are really nasty together. Or so like, you know, vulnerability and crit or something like that. You know, these things add some sort of synergy bonus. That's kind of what I was hoping for, but this is a pretty big step towards that at least. So good job, GG. I think that's an improvement at least.
Damn, the combo system's so cool.
Yeah,
I really like that. That's really cool because that's also promoting like different builds, running different mods. So, for instance, you can play multiple characters, right? You're playing 2 characters, you roll maps. Right now, it's a matter of like which one of my characters is stronger. This one, therefore, I'll run this map. But if you're like one of your characters Righteous Fire and the other one is like I don't know, some sort of elemental tanky something, then, you know, the Righteous Fire character is going to run the combo of the elemental tanky whatever mods, and then the other character runs the crit minus max elemental weakness that the RF would benefit less from, right? Yeah, the combo system is that's such a cool thought. I mean, they didn't say they're not gonna do it, right? Maybe somebody's like, oh shit, right now, because that is cool. I love that.
I mean, like, how many times do you roll a map and you're like super excited for what you rolled on it? These days, currently, it's like never. Like sometimes you might see a map and you're like, that's a death map right there, and you're like, there's no reason around. You just like re-roll it. It would be so nice if you rolled a map and you're like, oh my god, that is a godly map. We haven't had that since people were exalting maps, like way back in the day. We haven't had that since then. So to see like a godly map where you got 4 synergizing mods that also synergize with each other, and you're like, I'm 200 pack size because it's gonna kill me.
Mirror-worthy map.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the future.
I like the idea of Ziggy sat there. I've got a 9-link chest, but I've got this map, Mirror's map. Yes. Okay. Oh, before we move off density changes, they also did announce that we're going to have less like monster packs eaten by walls. That, for me, like, if the density system's shit, that is huge. Because there's nothing more annoying when you're doing a map and there's just like this one golem like, hi. And you're like, it triggers me every time there's like this one like blue zombie, and you're like, where's the rest of your bros? And he's like,
One crab came out of the thing.
It reminds me of the Twilight Strand when you're trying to complete that mission and it's just like one zombie remaining. You're like, where the fuck are you? And you start running back and forth and you try to find that one
I got so trolled by that zone. So in Turmoil...
No, did you miss that little cubby little...
No, it's worse. So you know in that zone, when you kill it goes like 5 remaining, 4 remaining, 3 remaining.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know how I did it, I think there were strong boxes in the zone or spirit. Something changed it.
Underground.
So when I killed all the monsters, I didn't get the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in chat. So I was like, how have I missed something? And I literally spent like 15 minutes running around to like, what? Is this a bug? I made a new zone and then did it again. I'm like, this is so strange. And then I went back into town and saw that like Lily had completed the quest. I'm like, what the like? How? I was like so confused. My chat was like, what the fuck just happened? So yeah. But does anyone have anything left to say about density before we move on to the balance changes? Okay.
No, this only reminded me of some of the new armor sets that we were talking about. The support packs, they have some sort of bugs when you line up with the old ones. So if you really want to try, I think it was Lunara's boots and the 3rd tier helmet. If you put them on at the same time, it puts your foot in your mouth. It's really cool. You should try it out. You're just running around, your feet are like in your mouth, and you have no feet. It just goes by the knees. Just weird things in PoE. Sorry.
That's fine. Right, so the main thing that everyone wants to talk about is the Vol Pact change. And Chris mentioned in the Google Doc that he went over that even though Jonathan had different ideas to Chris, apparently they didn't intend to show it during the demo. And it was a happy accident, was the exact quote. The final announced release version may still differ. If that one wasn't up to date, I haven't checked on this. Can we just say, like, Raiz, your clip was beautiful, but I was watching the IGN video. First, I was struggling to watch that video because that dude was terrible. We can all agree. Like, even Mr. Professional ZiggyD can agree that interviewer was like, dude, go away. And then Jonathan's just like, Valpact. Zoom in on Valpact.
Oh, is it time for Valpact? I like how you like went away and Chris is like, Jonathan, could you show that one thing? He's like, who goes back to Valpact? Chris is like, no, Ascendancy, dude. I'm like, what the fuck? Cool. I like talking shit here. I'm always scared of talking shit about that stuff on my channel because I don't know if the video game journalism won't get me. But I can talk shit about it here, Tarke. No problem.
If I
Be sure to show the video too on the website.
If I get assassinated in the next week, it's because Raiz was talking shit about IGN, right? I'm just
yeah.
But yeah, so
Cool.
All of a sudden, Tarke's lost for words. You know what? Maybe let's go back to the density.
The thing which I liked is just like, so I played a lot of Destiny 2. So from a Destiny 2 point of view, oh, it's just kind of like raids in Destiny 2. Oh, okay.
I felt so sorry for Chris in that interview. Anybody who's seen it, because it's like the guy kept bringing up the like GGG and Path of Exile are so fucking far beyond like D3 and all of that, and this guy kept comparing things to like, oh, so it's kind of like D3, and then Chris had to like establish it's like, no, we did seasons first.
Yes, you could tell he was getting a little bit.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's like, he's a professional, so he has to like keep it. Dude, it was like I just want to step in, man.
Dude, Raiz, I'm sorry, we've gone on a tangent. Someone in chat said Chuck. Do you remember our boy Chuck? Yes.
Rip Chuck. We won't be working with Chuck anymore. He's an ass. Anybody who missed it, like last time there was a release, there was like some interview with some Chuck guy, and it was like literally in a basement. The microphone was completely busted and everything. And the guy was like, mid-interview, the guy was like, oh, shit. What else can I ask? Let me think. And Chris is just sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? So yeah, they released an official statement. Valve did. Chuck is an ass. We won't be working with him anymore. Okay? God damn it, Chuck.
Sorry,
so
that was
yeah. You
fun.
started
so
something.
Volpact.
Right.
So
I feel like...
Volpact. Oh god, yeah.
No, go for it.
I'm just giggling. Okay, so Volpact might still change. Chris even said himself he wasn't sure if it's the most up-to-date version, so it's still very much like a work in prog. But with what we currently know, under the current assumptions, what do we think?
Cool.
Whatever.
I mean, we've been talking about this for 6 months. We've been like, what would PoE be like without instant leech so easily accessible, you know? would this become a glorious game? Like, we need to see the removal of it, Vile Pact and stuff like that. We just want to see what that would be like. We've been talking about this for so long, so now that it's here, it's just like, cool.
I think that GGG wanted not so many builds to be based around Vile Pact, and they saw how unpopular life builds were in Legacy League, and they saw how popular ES was with Vile Pact. They said, hey, what if we make ES not usable with Vile Pact? Maybe then people will not be so, hell-bent on using Vile Pact. And then here comes, 3.0, hurdy-dur-dur. Okay, we'll just use life with Vile Pact. We'll just make that the next thing. And so I feel like PoE was like, no, let's just completely remove instantly from Vile Pact. Go do something else with the other skill tree. Stop pathing every single character, every class to Vile Pact. Go do something else. Make other builds. I feel like that's what their intention was, honestly.
It's because they really messed it up in that way, because we went back in time. For the longest time they were like, well, every build was this. I take up everything on the skill tree, but I leave myself 20 points. You know what those 20 points are for? Let me travel fucking 19 points to pick up Vile Pact on the skill tree when you were playing a caster, because there was nothing in between. It was literally just... And then they moved Vile Pact, and they changed it again, and they were like, it's fine now. Guess what? It wasn't fine. So now, again, it's not fine with ES. It's a big surprise. You didn't do anything to it. Of course it's not fine. And now they finally moved it again. But I don't know if I agree with the whole notion of it being... It's not instantaneous, and it requires a little bit of an investment, but it's still in a pretty freaking good spot.
Yeah, why did they move it right next to Attack Leech? That was the main thing. I was like...
I'm surprised. I thought what they're going to do, I was sure that they will move it somewhere down, because it's well, bows are underused, it's good with bows. Melee classes are underused, it's good with melee classes. Caster are too strong, that's at the top. So it made sense that they would move it down there. But what I thought they're gonna do is move it where Iron Reflexes is, or maybe even lower, so that you have to invest a little bit more points, and put something in front of it, what they did with CI, Leech Raid or something like that, so that it would not only require the travel, but also a couple more points. Where instead they kind of did that, because you're going to be picking up those Leech Nodes anyway. But those Leech Nodes are so worth, and...
If you're an attack build, you have to take those nodes, or you take the
and it's
crit
so much
claw
Leech
nodes.
Raid, right?
Yeah, it's...
And it's, from what I understand, because it says it's doubled, so it should scale multiplicatively. So it's not instantaneous, but it's
pretty close,
In a way, it's pretty close when it comes to mobs hitting you, but they removed the one thing that Vile Pact, in my opinion, did work for, which is a defense against Reflect. Now you can't really defend yourself against Reflect with it, because if you double tap a mob, you're just gonna pop yourself, where before your health would go boop boop boop, and now it's just gonna go boom, boom, right? So in that way, I feel like they have to... Oh, and Slayer also, by the way.
I think they would change Slayer. If they kept it as is, they would change Slayer. But I'm curious that you mentioned Reflect, because we've had this discussion before, and CuteDog, you have very strongly disagreed with me on this. I think that Reflect, we have ways to combat Reflect, and I'm actually sick and tired of the people who don't want to invest to make their character immune to shit. Because if you remember, back in the day, it was oh, Reflect... Okay, if I want to be Reflect immune, I play traps, I play totems, I play mines, I play minions. Then they said, okay, now you can use this ring. Now you can use these nodes on the skill tree. Now you can use this Pantheon Ascendancy. We have Ascendancy options. We have ways to counter the fucking mechanic. So can we please, build around mechanics again? If they were to completely, gut Reflect now, I would be really disappointed, because we have so many ways to build around Reflect. It's you can go dodge, you can evade it. There are, again, I think this is just the video where I say everyone subscribe to Lighty. Lighty also made a really good video on Reflect, where he's just he just goes on the wiki and types in Reflect and goes to Reflect mitigation. There's 30 different fucking things you can do to mitigate Reflect. I think it's good that we can, spec into defense rather than just have life. What do you think about that?
What if it's forced, though? Because let's say you get to like what can you get to dying a lot? You can still get to level 95 dying a lot, okay? But after that, let's say you just start popping yourself to reflect. That doesn't feel good. And then if it's mandatory, if I want to get to 100, if it's mandatory for me to use a fortified gem and a Sibbles and a Ugol ascendant, well, Ugol's not bad because you take that anyways, pretty much. But if I have to do these three things, if I want to like accomplish a goal in the league, that sucks a lot, right? I don't want to have to like give up my ring slot. I don't want to have to give up, like how am I going to get fortify on a wander, for example, right?
Well, for
It's
example,
like-
for a wander, you'd have acro, phase acro, and evasion. And why don't you want to sacrifice a ring? Because I get it in the world of having like mirror worthy gear in every slot, to then have this like one alch ring is a bit disappointing. But I see that the same way
But
as
then
equipping.
you have to get it though, right? If you want to get to 100 now, if reflect is in the game the way it is, if you want to get to 100, you're looking at giving up character power or something to spend your exalts on in order to just, I don't know, like do the core mechanic of the game, which is level up, make your character stronger. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like from a like for me, okay, maybe I'm like not the average player, but for me, I want to get a headhunter and I want to make a character as juicy as possible so that when I go into those abysses, and if it's like the video, there's tons of rares spawning out of there. I don't want a random ass rare spawning out of there and it's like, yeah, I have headhunter, but then bam, I have a Civils, and that's how I'm like handling, it just doesn't feel good to me.
Like, I get it, and people in chat say, you retard because you can't miss. Back in the, like, Raiz, you can back me up on this. Back in the day, Lionized Glare was the best bow in the game, but it was like, if you equip this bow, you can't evade your reflect. That was the opportunity cost of using this item, right? So that's called fucking having weaknesses to the best item in the game. It used to be the best item in the game. Lycosidate is a stupidly powerful shield, because it's just like, you could never miss. And it costs like an alch, and it's broken as hell. So what you do is it has an opportunity cost, which is you then need very good reflect protection if you want to use it. I don't know.
For me, like the problem is, I think you're both right, because okay, from my perspective, from my perspective as a player, what CuteDog says doesn't make any sense, because it's like. I want to play an axe character. Oh, but this requires an axe. I don't want to be using an axe the whole time. Or like, I don't want to be equipping rare rings because I can use unique rings, and the unique rings don't have life. Therefore, I feel forced into it because I have to live. Like, in that way, every item feels like it's forced upon you because you're choosing something else. So from my perspective as a player, that doesn't make sense. However, from also a perspective of somebody who plays Path of Exile and streams and knows that people really enjoy that sort of thing where they can just blast through content or sacrifice something to a great extent just to benefit from something else to like a great extent. I feel like that sort of playstyle shouldn't be taken away from players, and it in a way is being taken away from players. Despite the fact that from my perspective it's crazy, it would be taken away if they were to not make these items mandatory anymore, or give you less options, or make them more mandatory. So like there are definitely people who very heavily disagree with what Tarke says, even though again I personally don't. And that makes that just makes it a playstyle problem, right? That there are two different leagues, there are hundreds of different builds. Certain people will play on a certain league and will play with certain builds, and they will always get punished by something like that. So there's always going to be somebody complaining about one or the other. Now the problem is that yeah, maybe it's been a long time since they've done something, because it's not an issue. Reflect isn't an issue that like naturally loosens up. Like for instance, when we were talking about Atlas and Sextants and all of that stuff, like everybody was super crazy about having their Atlas be perfect when that shit came out. But now people are more like, I'll just complete all maps, or I'll just run whatever. Like they're not nearly as crazy about it. They've loosened up. But reflect doesn't seem to be loosening up at all, and it's been an issue for this longest time. So maybe there is something where they could like switch things up finally. And I think even if they do, there's still going to be people on both sides that will be very unhappy. Yeah.
I get the comment with like the feeling forced to use a certain ring, because I've done lots of builds with Lionized Glare and I've gone like LA crit and I've gone into Primeval Force. I've used Yugal's Pantheon. I'm trying to like mitigate the damage I've taken from Reflect, but it's always not enough. I'm always required to either go Vol Pact, which I hate, or use Sybil's Lament Coral Ring, and that just like limits my build in so many ways. I end up hating that unique because you feel kind of forced. So I feel like, yeah, in some sort of way, if you want to go for the full DPS and use a Lionized Glare Imperial Bow, then so be it. But I feel like we should have a few more options rather than just being like limited to, you know, either Sybil's or Well Packed or this or that. Like it just feels a little bit forced. So I agree with that.
Just to really quickly say, it's like I find that they've got a good middle ground in a way. That's why there's two sides right now, because it is Sybil's. Because imagine if this was an amulet or a belt. Now that would probably make CuteDog really angry.
Dude, look, I'm fine with it, right? I'm just saying like it should, like, a game with this much options shouldn't like pigeonhole you into using this one item. I think it should be more player skill or choosing how you want to play. For example, let's say Reflect was on some kind of timer, right? Like the racecourse Reflect boss guy. What if they did that? That way, the timer goes off when you encounter the mob. So you can still off-screen if you want to play like that. Off-screen won't just like booty blast your character. But when you finally encounter the rare, like coming out of the abyss, then you do have to pay attention. You can't just like mindlessly like spam your one skill. I think that'd be a better solution than just being like, okay, well the game is about, you should be using Fortify and Sybil's and Yugal.
Are you ready for me to blow your mind real quick? Because I agree with you, and this is the thing, is like I'm not against more options. If you remember, there was a Baeclast like 2 or 3 episodes ago where I was saying the one thing I liked about Panther is they're adding more options to Reflect, and chat was going, you fucking retard, you idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, if they made more slots, like, for example, for Freeze Immune, Freeze is a mechanic you have to be able to combat to play Path of Exile. So there are multiple different uniques which give you Freeze Immune, there are Flasks which give you Freeze Immune, there are Ascendancies which give you status element immunity. Great. They could do the same thing with Reflect. We already have Ascendancies which combat Reflect. They could make 1 or 2 more uniques. They could maybe add a Flask which gave you Reflect immunity or reduced Reflect damage taken. Those are much better options. I don't know why my voice went weird then. Those are much better options in my opinion than just killing the mechanic completely. And for the people saying, oh, you don't even play endgame, blah, blah, blah. Actually killed Shaper last league, so fuck you, cunt. Yeah.
Jesus,
killed Shaper, that was the thing which I find funny about it, because I've never had any drive to kill Shaper, but I got so sick of people in chat saying, you've never killed bosses. I kill it, and they're like, yeah, so we're adding Elder, by the way, Tarke, so now you've got to kill these things to shut up the retards in chat. You won't shut up on your case, right? So, we're hooking you up, yeah.
Whoa, our word.
No, it's about choice, man.
Quinn triggered.
This is you look at the map mod minus max player resist, right?
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of builds where if you have your leech, or when you had your Vol Pack leech, regular Reflect, no issue at all. But once you get a minus 12% max res, then you're just like completely destroying yourself. And that's your choice to do that if you want. That's why like lots of people filter that out. And I think that's better than what we're talking about right now. Yeah. But who knows? We have to wait for patch notes. Maybe they're doing something to Reflect. I don't know. ZiggyD probably knows.
Just to make you guys disagree even more, because even 3 people, I don't know what Lara's opinion on this is, because I saw Ziggy was saying yes about Reflect being temporary, right? So I was a huge advocate for that for the longest time, but now when I think about it, how would they make it proc? When does it proc? Does the mob naturally never have it? Does it circle around when you enter the map? Like, imagine, because people have different resolutions, right? Some people play on widescreen, some people don't. Some people, like, you never know when you're actually engaging the mob, and different people will have different distances at which they're engaging the mob, or the mob is noticing them, or they're noticing it. So now imagine if you're just playing, and then you shoot with a bow, and you off-screen, and it just so happens that some off-screen mob had the reflect circle on him and you just pop yourself, right? That would feel way worse than actually seeing the mob and popping yourself. So it's like there's no, in a way, I'm very sorry for GGG because it's a mechanic that, in my opinion, has to be in the game.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen, they haven't removed it, so it has to be there. But there's like no solution that will be good for everybody. No matter what, they're choosing like the lesser evil, and the other faction is always a huge, a huge part of the game, a huge amount of players.
Also, if they make it, oh sorry, I'll quickly say something you guys. If they make it like, oh, it does it after a delay, then CuteDog builds, which one-shot every mob, becomes reflect immune. Because if the mob doesn't instantly have reflect, if it like gets reflect later, then that means the good builds are reflect immune and the bad builds aren't, and that isn't a solution either. So go on, Ziggy.
I feel like reflect is such a 2012 mechanic. It's so outdated. Oh my god. But if we're gonna have it, at least having a way to play around it, and like, I think you're just not being creative enough, Raiz. Like, I think they can definitely come up with a way to make that work. Yeah, I mean, what about
damage
only
over time?
procs? What's that? Yeah, like as damage over time. That's one way.
So everybody becomes a hardcore bitch lord now and logs off every time. They can reflect.
That's already part of the game, right? Whatever. I mean, what about it only activates in a certain radius? Maybe once the mob aggro's on you, and then it's a fade in, fade out kind of mechanic where it fades in small increments over time. So when you hit them when the reflect's just coming on, you take a tiny bit of damage, and then once it hits full force and they're like glowing, and you're like, you've had plenty of time to react to the fact that their reflector's coming on, then you're going to take full damage and kill yourself.
Yeah, but then,
and then played better.
And then it's the issue we just talked
about. That's what Tarke said,
yeah.
Where somebody that clears or one-shots mobs, like clears really fast and one-shots mobs, if the mob needs a second to ramp up, then it never gets to ramp up because you just one-shot it.
And the whole point of reflect
useless
is to slow those builds down. So it then does the opposite problem. The point of reflect from... There's either two reasons they would. Either one, Chris just hates everyone and is like, fuck you, CuteDog. I just want to ruin you and your dirty headhunters. But the main reason is like they wanted a way to like slow down going full damage. So if it's a ramp-up mechanic or a delay mechanic, the full damage one-shot builds, the builds which are meant to be slowed down by reflect, become reflect-proof. And that clearly isn't a solution.
And the opposite is hurting the builds that go slowly. So it's hard. I don't know. Like, again, I'm not jelly of him having to figure this out.
I'm gonna just say it. I feel like reflect shouldn't be the answer to those builds. I feel like the answer to those builds should be opportunity cost. If they're building super fucking DPS squishy, then they should be squishy and they should be dying to other shit instead of reflect. Reflect's a boring way to stop those people. What about the mobs killing them instead of fucking killing themselves?
For sure.
Is this like, can we not make a game where the mobs kill you instead of you killing yourself? Like, that shouldn't be the answer to a player being OP, is that they kill themselves.
That's what you talked about before, which was also my massive fucking frustration with PoE coming back after having played Grim Dawn. Grim Dawn, mobs fight back, mobs hit you. Yeah. Sure, there's a lot of like one shots, but you feel like you're fighting a mob. You don't feel like you're killing the mob, and the mob kills you after somehow, And there's things for that are cool, like for instance Beyond. You kill a mob, there's another mob, this mob fights you now and it can kill you. That's pretty cool. And it's not, something else. So I in a perfect world, 100% Ziggy, 100% agree with you. It's just that's not the world that we're living in right now. So that's why I'm saying it's a necessity.
I feel like Reflect has just become this, like, appeal to the way things have always been done. Like, Reflect has to be in the game because it's always been in the game. We haven't removed it yet, so we can't remove it. It needs to be there because it's always been there. That's what I feel like it's gotten to. But...
That's a great point from Hellfurian, but good builds only die to BLDD. That's even better. You kill a mob, then it spawns another mob that can kill you, and that mob blows up a corpse of the mob that you've already killed, and that kills you. What the hell?
That's more entertaining, at least.
6 after-death effects that can potentially pop you. Now that's creative thinking. Good job, G.
2 quick things I just want to reply to in chat. The idea of making Reflect like you hit a mob and a projectile returns you, it sounds cool on paper. In group play, it would be the worst thing in the world. Everyone who saw the Ziz triple kill PK, then imagine that even worse. Like, you shoot Frostbolt, and then 1,000 Frostbolts kill your supports and the rest of the group. That's not going to happen. Also, it'd be very bad lag, and they're trying to avoid, like, lag overload. And also, like, and on this point, so my friend Kane, he was the rank 1 first level 100 Slayer last league. He was pushing Glad this league. He was the front page of the GGG Reddit thing. He was the guy who popped himself to the Reflect boss in Racecourse. And that was because that's the guy I met with all the time. He's a cool dude. I want to have him on Baeclast, but he hasn't got a... Anyway, he's coming on eventually. He's cool, chill dude. The thing I loved about that thread, all the comments like, oh my god, rank 1 Glad doesn't know what Reflect is. Lol. And it's like, no. He was playing in a group. He'd been mapping for like 16 hours. He was tired. He couldn't see the visual. He one-shot himself. Now that is a very cheap death, and he felt like an idiot about it. And that's one of the things that I don't know how I feel. Because I look at that death the exact same way I look at the death I had at 98, where I didn't react fast enough and I got detonate deaded. It's like, it was a cheap death. It felt terrible. It wasn't the reward of pushing characters 98. It wasn't the reward that Kane really deserved, you know, pushing, you know, getting rank 1 Glad, holding it all those days, then just, oh, there's someone in my group playing Glacial Cascade, I can't see the boss, I'm dead. It doesn't feel good, but at the same time... It feels great to me. At the same time, he got punished for not paying attention. And in an ideal world, Ziggy, I agree with you 100%, in an ideal world, I would love that it was the mobs killing us. But I don't think this late into the game, they can really go back and be like, let's go back to old school super scary, like Roa one-shotting you from a charge halfway across the map, you know. I miss those days, but I don't think we're ever going back to that.
Oh, but we can move forwards to that, where we've got things like breaches popping up mobs all around us and shit.
Yeah, breach is a great example of mobs fighting back for sure. Like,
Yeah.
It's funny how breach is like... Breach doesn't insta-kill you or one-shot you or anything like that, which is a lot of people's complaints, like, oh, I instantly go one-shot, whatever. Like, you can insta-die, but you feel like you're actually fighting mobs, where you don't really experience that, like, anywhere else in the game. Like, maybe in Act 10, because you're just so underpowered and everything else seems so, like, crazy. But you feel like that's yeah. But then again, would the game is it a good thing that the game would be like this constant fucking Monka-ass shitstorm of everything?
I feel like everyone would just complain if it was like that. Like when Act 10 got the mobs got like pulled back in difficulty because everyone was shitting their pants. Like, oh my god, Act 10 is so overtuned. Like I feel like it would just like the whole community would just like rise up against something like that.
So we want mobs to fight back, but we don't want them to fight back.
It's also one of those awkward situations that GGG is in. You've said this a few times, Raiz. I think you said it on the most recent Coffee Talk. And also, chat, if you haven't watched it, it was a really good Coffee Talk watcher. But you were saying they're in this awkward situation where they make a change, the player base is blown up. Now, in their mind, are they saying, oh, we've made the game faster and the game's blown up? Do they see that as a direct correlation? So we need to keep going in that direction or not? It really, like, we don't know what their thought process is without actually just, like, asking them, you know, how do you feel about this? But I would be very, very surprised if, outside of, like, adding stuff like Breach or, like, scary endgame bosses, the fact that, for example, with the Elder system, one of the best things about it is you can fight those Guardians at lower tiers. They're making that stuff more accessible. But I don't see them suddenly just making everything, like, super shitstorm scary again. Like, Evasion 2.0. Look, I don't think we're having that.
There's not going to be one perfect speed or one perfect difficulty for PoE. The answer is going to be to meet the needs of these differing groups with different desires through giving options in what you can do. You can have that chill, you know, just grinding while watching Netflix, or you can engage in that more rewarding but challenging Monka-esque gameplay. Like, just giving it as options is pretty much the only way you can do it.
And there's different leagues in PoE. I feel like it's the perfect game for something like that because you can just run different leagues. Something you said about... Okay, so here's what I don't get. You can fight the Elder Guardians early on, from what I'm getting, and there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
Can you approach the Elder early on, or do you need to kill the end game the T16 Elder Guardians to be able to get into Elder.
It seems like he'll be at the end alongside of Shaper, basically. So what will happen is you'll basically put one of them on the throne. You'll put Shaper or Elder on the throne through your actions in the war, and like planning for that or working towards that. Which one you actually want to farm will be part of engaging with the system if you plan on going that far.
Okay. So basically you could put yourself in a position where you're fighting the same boss multiple times because the Elder is just popping up and like you're fighting the Elder Guardian in a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and it's just random.
They said it's themed around the boss itself. So for the example we had is the boss was lightning damage wise, so we got the lightning Elder Guardian. So for example, if you were only doing Fizz maps, then you'd probably keep seeing the same Fizz Guardian over and over and over again. So there would be like a kind of meta game to my build is good at this, I will do this to then fight this, and
Chat is correcting that. Apparently you can fight him early.
I assumed you could fight him early. That's what I thought. I thought it was you killed the bosses, you got like some kind of key, and then you got to do him early.
I thought.
So you think there's going to be a tiered Elder or something?
That's what I thought. That's exactly.
That's why I was so
chat
confused.
saying it's working like Wriggled. That's what I thought it was. Chris didn't like explicitly say in the document, so we don't know. But I think that's what it is.
If it has its own like loot table, that wouldn't make sense to have it early, right?
Yeah, I looked at freaking like everything about this, and I didn't like get that sense exactly. I wonder where that came from. I guess it's not explicitly clear enough exactly how this is working yet.
Apparently, he explains it in one of the IGN videos explicitly. Apparently,
I thought it was like
Yeah.
it sucked the life out of
That's
the
the problem.
Guardians, the T16, and if you killed that, you had a chance.
Yeah,
of
that's
getting
what I
like a
got from like
fragment or
other pieces
something.
of the content.
Yeah.
Exactly.
we saw a Act 5 tile set. So that clearly isn't a tier 6. That's not like a minnow map. We saw that map, and at the end of it was the Stormburst dude you fight just before you unlock the Act 5 town, and he turned into the Lightning Guardian.
Well, he does say that lower tier maps, it's just a less challenging fight when the Elder makes his own little boss thing.
The way I thought it would work is kind of like Rigworld. It's kind of like you then kill like a lower level Elder, and you might have a restricted like these are the low level Elder items, and then the tier 16 Elder drops like the blue Dying Sun, which is +5 AoEs. I don't know.
I don't. Here's my scary thought about this. It's because, okay, so what PoE really does well, and for instance, something that Grim Dawn really fails at, in my opinion, is like translating how fucking scary the thing you're about to do is. Where, you never really have something where you're like early on, Brutus, like if you're leveling up, Brutus can be difficult for a newer player. Like there's things like that, but overall it's still mechanically simple. But now if you're getting into maps and you can, for what this means, almost immediately fight Elder, how mechanically complex can they make him? Or do they add like certain abilities for him in
phased.
higher tiers?
They showed that the Electric Guardian had different arenas. So what you could do is have like these are the arenas that only show up in the last maps.
Right.
Kind of like with Azaro, because if you think about with Azaro, they kind of went like this is like the baby version, then there's like the better version, this is like the full Uber version. Like this is pure speculation.
That's what they do. That's
point,
what they do
but-
with Shaper too, though. Like he gains abilities. You have 3 different stages, and he gains abilities,
Yeah.
right?
That's so.
I feel like people are getting the wires crossed here on Chris saying that you'll be able to engage with the Elder's Guardians from low levels and the actual Elder himself.
Yeah,
that's
what
where
I'm
I feel like
getting
the wires are getting crossed here. Because as I said, I've spent like 7 hours watching and combing through all that content to make my summary video the other day, and like I feel like he was explicitly saying that you get to fight endgame bosses, but as his actual Guardians are who you encounter, and then you enter encounter. But I might have to rewatch it. Maybe you do encounter some weird early Elder, which sounds bad to me. Honestly, I I kind of like the idea of his guardians spawning through the map, sprinkling as kind of like that taster, and then him up alongside Shaper as the big kahuna to shoot for.
Yeah, I think so too. Like
Maybe
finding
little
the
fragments.
end game thing or whatever early on.
I mean, will it be accessed with fragments, you think, through the map device?
Something,
Probably.
fragments or keys, something like that. That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Mm.
They
Yeah,
have to
chat's
pay
adamant, so-
$250 for a key to access Elder.
Whoa!
Because it's a
Whoa.
free expansion. So they have to make the monies.
No bitching.
I'm sure on Monday we'll have an official statement, and it's one of those things of... It's why I'm so grateful that Bex passed the document on to Chris, is that it's one of the things that I love and hate about GGG, is they can like secret, and they're like, fuck you, and they just like throw everything at you. And then it's like, go watch these 30 different interviews, and then we'll slowly tease you over the next like 3 months. It's like every single streamer who's uploaded a like initial reaction review, half the stuff they say is wrong from the stuff that Chris has clarified in our document, and probably half stuff we've said today might be wrong on this very one topic. So until we have like that actual statement from them, it's just kind of like speculation. I don't know.
Gonna have to
Should
wait
we
and
move
see.
on from this and talk about skill gems rather than just like spending an hour on like how do we think Elder might work?
Well, there's gonna be a lot of with the skill gems. How do we think that Cascade's gonna work with certain skills and so on as well?
True,
It's gonna be speculation cast.
True.
Ah.
It's
Oh,
4 a.m.
actually,
here.
just-
Oh my God.
Just really quickly to backtrack to what CuteDog said. So how would you feel if PoE would actually have content, let's say like Elder, that would be behind a paywall,
Yes, do it.
but it wouldn't reward you with anything?
Wait, what?
What the fuck is the point of that then?
To have fun.
Custom leagues.
That's what
Custom
every
leagues.
video game is, no? It's like you don't get anything out of it. You get
don't
to play
have
the video
fun.
game if you pay for it.
Guys, would you like to pay the official super duper price to the Raiz meetup? He won't be at the meetup, but you can pay the price to go.
No, I will be there. You just won't get free beer. Easy. Okay.
Yeah.
No, because like that's what a lot of other games do, and they get really shunned for it. But I don't know if something like that wouldn't actually work in
Please
PoE.
don't give them ideas. I mean, custom leagues, we've been wanting it. We don't know what we're gonna get. That would be the way to do it, in my opinion. And like to be honest, this is going on a massive tangent, but just very, very briefly. I feel really strange about the whole like loot box thing that's going on in like gaming in general as a whole, because it's like GGG's being praised heavily for being like one of the best free-to-play games, and I agree, but I still think loot boxes are some of the most like insidious things, and yeah, like it's so evil as a system, and it just feeds on some really unhealthy behavior. So I think that you need to be pretty careful with like encouraging paywalls and all this other things. And yeah, I think like I have amazing respect for GG. They're my favorite developer, and I think they are the best free-to-play game out there. But they still do loot boxes, and loot boxes are evil as hell.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think they're okay.
Yeah, I remember that whole discussion with Yoji about that. That was like a pretty big topic. Apparently, I was pretty insensitive about it.
Quick note though, in the IGN video, when the guy's like, "This is so the game is completely free, right? You can't like pay to win," and Chris is like, "Yeah, all of our microtransactions are completely cosmetic." I was like, "Whoa, wait,
Yeah.
wait a minute,
back
hold on,
Back up.
That is not true." Like cosmetic stash tabs.
Yeah, but I think that was part of, because like even how they opened up the interview, like that was part of promoting the game. Like that was clearly scripted. That it wasn't
He kept saying it.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
free,
And like
right?
they
The expansion
opened
is
that the
completely
first
free, right?
Yeah, the first thing, it was like, hey, this is developer Chris Wilson. Free game, by the way. No pay to win, by the way, right? It's like, who opens up a interview with a question like that? You usually talk about the game and then you get into the nitty-gritty. So stuff like that, I think, was just like a promotional move. So that's why it ended up looking like it was a little bit.
That's not true.
Yeah.
for a tiny bit of context, people in chat are like, what are you talking about? Jim Sterling's made multiple amazing videos on those. I recommend watching those. But the main reason why a lot of people, myself included, geologically don't like loot boxes is while they are purely cosmetic, they do encourage and feed on very unhealthy gambling behavior. I have a very addictive personality myself, and I know every time new loot boxes come out, I'm like, yes! And then I buy them, and I'm like, no, this is terrible. And I actually have to, like, force myself not to. And yes, everyone should be a responsible grown adult, and people should be able to look after themselves. But it does promote really fucked up behavior, and kids play games, and you need to be responsible with gambling and stuff. As someone who played a lot of Overwatch, Lara, I'm curious if you have a thought process on that.
Listen. As a victim of this process, as you've seen in many games, I have spent, a little bit of money in Overwatch, buying loot boxes, and probably exponentially more in PoE. But I do think that even if they remove this box opening feature in Path of Exile, I mean, there's plenty of other ways we can get our fix. I mean, Ancient Orbs, Reliquary Keys, like I've said before, what little currency I've had in a league, I've spent. If I didn't feel like skimping money on, microtransaction boxes, there was always some other gamble in-game that you could spend currency on to kind of get your fix.
But I would argue that's more healthy behavior. And again, it's not about, like, a victim thing, but it's like, addiction is a genuine problem. So,
Yeah, I like the people in the chat who are like, just use self-control, dude. What's the big deal? It's like fucking entitled little pricks. God damn it.
Yeah, like, if you've ever experienced anyone with any form of addiction, be it alcoholism, drugs, or whatever, people genuinely with gambling addictions, I'd recommend going to, like, an AA meeting and say, just have a little bit of self-control,
Yeah,
guys.
why don't you guys just fucking control
like,
yourself?
come
What's
on,
the big
guys.
deal,
It's a
dudes?
bit,
I'm so torn. I'm so torn on the loot box thing, right? Because I don't have personally a problem with that sort of stuff. I am able to exercise. Like I play into it a little bit, which is kind of wrong when I think about it. To like play into the meme of like, oh, just one more box and stuff like that because it is real money. So I'm probably gonna reconsider how I approach that sort of thing in the future. But I personally don't have a problem with self-control and I find them really fun. And I think like GGG does them really well as evil, like inherently as they are. Like they've recently been publishing odds of each of the items, which I think is a really good step. The value of buying a few of them is generally quite good. And again, like I find them quite fun. But they are designed in such a way, even if it's not maliciously so on GGG's part, that they do prey on people with a tendency towards not being able to control themselves around that, and that's what they end up making a shitload of money out of it. Like, I wish there was a way that these could be a thing and a fun thing for those of us who can enjoy them, but not an issue for people that have problems with it. I feel like maybe having like a cutoff point, like if GGG really wanted to go super ethical about it, having a cutoff point where it's like, you've been buying too many loot boxes, no more loot boxes. You can buy up to 50 loot boxes or something like that.
I'm not actually
Ooh,
joking, but I was thinking of sending an email to support saying, can you please stop me from ever spend? No, this isn't talk. This is like I've seriously been thinking about with the new supporter packs.
I guarantee if you do that,
would you stop me from spending more than X many like dollars over a time period? And
the funny part is
it sounds stupid, but yeah, like it's actually
I think they could probably do it. Yeah. Having like an opt-in system like that could be a pretty nice like thing. Like I feel like loot boxes make a shitload of money, right? And they fund massive expansions like this, and they probably a good percentage of people can do so in a healthy way that doesn't like damage people. But there are people that are being damaged by this, so I feel like GGG should put. And I'm taking this really seriously, right? Because I make videos on YouTube where I open the loot boxes in PoE and I have a good time with it. But I'm also at the same time like I've been having this dissonance in my mind of this is probably hurting some people, and that like I'm like kind of torn. I'm really torn on this because of it. So I think that GGG taking steps to add something like an opt-in system that says, look, I can't buy these things, or I can only buy a limited amount of them, or that sort of thing, I think needs to be kind of like, I mean, GGG's been held up as this shining light for microtransactions in the community, and I feel like them, if they want to continue on that route, then they can probably still make a shitload of money off loot boxes, but add a few little bits and pieces here like that could make it in a way that's happy and healthy for everyone. That's what I want, man.
And I have like absolutely no issue with supporter packs. Like I'm happy buying the top supporter pack every fucking time as long as I can afford it. I have no problem with that. If you look at my account, I have like support packs going way back, and I've never been able to afford those. But I'm like, fuck it, I'll work it out. But I don't know. I just think it's an interesting thing to have, since you do have the case where like actual governments are looking into it now. The fact that for the China region they forced GGG into publishing rates. Like, it seems like a joke, but like actual legislation is going in place for loot boxing and gambling over the next 5-10 years. It's going to be a really big deal. What were you going to say, sir?
It's just that I think there's two best ways to make loot boxes with hurting there's 3 ways of making loot boxes, I think. So there's the GGG approach, which is basically you get a shitload of value. You get so much value out of boxes. Like, opening a couple boxes is crazy value if you just compare it to the amount of dollars you're spending on points. So in that way, it doesn't feel nearly as punishing, right? Where the opposite system is Overwatch, where, as far as I'm concerned, you can't directly buy the points to buy things. You have to open loot boxes and either get the points from that or get duplicates, and therefore you can buy the things. So it takes you forever to get that one specific thing that you really want. But you know, once you're there, you like speed up and everything, and in that way it can be very rewarding too. And then there's this third approach, which is like Counter-Strike, where it's like you spend a fuckload of money, you don't get anything, you're always sad, and you get preyed upon. Like, so I think, like, if we're looking at this like very critically, I think, you know, GGG is doing the best they can with boxes, but it's still boxes, right? So.
Yeah. So sorry for that fun little side caveat. One sentence, Tarke goes on a tangent.
I think it's an important topic.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think it's interesting how like certain people's opinions have changed it. Because I remember when we first spoke about it on Baeclast, when Yoji was back on one of the first episodes, me and Yoji were very against it, and Raiz was like, "Fucking retards, have self-control." Oh, And
I wasn't like that.
You were a little.
I'm a lot more sensitive now after we had the discussion, for sure. Yeah. I'm a person who also has problems with that. You know, I don't play. I love playing poker, but I fucking, you know, I have limitations on my account because I know that, you know, I can go full retard. So the boxes are the same way. sorry, R-word, sorry.
Was that a soft R or a hard R?
Yeah, you know, you can never tell with me, non-native English speaker. You know, disabled by the way.
It's fine. We get a pass because I'm disabled, so we get a complete pass on anything. We're chill. I'm like the token for this one, so you're chill.
Chad is 100% sure that we're all disabled anyway, so
true.
Nobody's gonna report this.
Okay, so skill gems, that thing that we were meant to be talking about. How do you guys feel, just briefly, about the fact that we have 4 skill gems with the same theming? I know a lot of people saying, oh, maybe a new melee skill, maybe a new bow skill. While I like all the new skills, I was a bit disappointed they're all kind of the same sort of thing. I don't know. What do you think?
Garbage. Not just good. They're all garbage, but it's okay. They look fun, but it's like,
I'm getting like comments on YouTube. People like, oh, these skills are so boring. I want them to create some mechanically interesting skills, and I'm like, like what? Like these are some of the, at the very least, these are some of the more mechanically interesting skills we've had. Releasing them as a group like that, I think, is intentional because they kind of seem like combo skills, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we're talking about, is maybe the direction they were wanting to go here a bit. The question of effectiveness of combo skills in terms of PoE's track record is a little iffy.
No, I so disagree with. See, I've seen that argument a lot. I 100% disagree because people forget about the strong. Hey, Detonate Dead was the best skill in Path of Exile.
It's my favorite skill in the game, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a combo ability. Had to desecrate, had to do the Detonate Dead, and it was it was a really long time. Sure, you could argue that it was because Prolif was so powerful, but now imagine if Prolif is naturally incorporated in the skill. So for instance, the Volcano skill, it goes boom boom and it blows up for like the entirety of the screen.
Just honestly, all these new skills look so cool. I'm just looking at them. I don't know which one I want to try first. Like, the cremation one with like the geysers and it has the projectiles that shoot out of it. That sounds like so cool to me. The body swap one, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm so excited to use all these skills, and I'm gonna have so much fun on each character run, just like trying these skills out and seeing how they work with like everything, every new equipment in the game, like the new like skill tree and everything. I'm just so excited. Like they look so awesome. I'm really hyped.
Yeah, especially if they're moving in the combo direction.
Yeah, if they all like have a common theme between them, that's even more exciting.
I'm excited like for the potential of them working well and people actually using them as combos. Hell yeah. I just like I hope that happens. But I mean the volcano one looks OPO, right? Like I think that's gonna be crazy. It's like so eye bleedy though as well. So welcome the new kind of like magma orb, but actually good. So I know magma orb's okay. Shh, don't worry about it. Body swap though, I love the theme of body swap, but like it's so dark. You kill yourself and then explode a corpse and then recreate yourself at the location of the corpse. I mean, that's some like Star Trek teleporter. That's some prestige shit right there. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
but really it seems like Flicker Strike that requires corpses on the ground. Like what? It seems kind of like mechanically premise wise, it seems kind of mad, but. I don't know.
It will probably be really nice single target for Righteous Fire. This is the thing with all of these. So I am actually really hyped to these new skills. I was just a bit disappointed that all the same kind of play style. That was the main thing which got me kind of a bit disappointed with them. But they're all like percentage damage. Percentage damage is always broken. So when I saw it and they said percentage, I was like, there's a the reason why Denid is always one of my favorite skills is because it's so cool. But then they killed it because it was so broken. I'm like, fine. And I expected that it's probably never getting buffed again. I was like, this playstyle's probably never coming back. And then they just made like better detonate dead, better detonate dead, better detonate dead, and you move. But like the body swap thing. So Righteous Fire, you scale fire damage, you get a bunch of life. It does percent of your life. You're standing on a boss doing nothing. So you combo. You explode when you go up, and you explode when you land. So you just like shotgun AoE overlap on a boss.
What do you mean
this doesn't look like
the scorching ray.
And yeah, it's just like OP. That's all percentage
I think
damage.
it's really cool because it's like it's a mobility skill, but I think it's going to be really fucking good for single target in like certain setups. So in that way, yeah, I never looked at it. You kind of killed it for me, Ziggy. I never looked at it as Flicker Strike. now I'm disillusioned.
I mean, that's what it looks like. Maybe you guys are right about like you spam a bunch of corpses under a boss and then just AoE them down with like I can see that working well, but yeah, on the flip side, whenever I see it, I just like it's Flicker Strike, but once you run out of corpses, you stop flickering. Like,
well, I think you just probably be like unearth spell totem, spam it, kind of like with Dark Pact. It's like people don't really play like full skelly Dark Pact, but for single target, you're like ha skellies. I kind of see it working kind of like that.
I mean, it might be alright, yeah. But I like the addition of Unearth. I think probably one of the underrated ones of the 4 skill gems because it's like it's giving us an offensive version of Desecrate. You know, Desecrate's a bit more of a utility skill, really. But this one you can combo in some defenses, and coupled with these new items, giving us potentially extra 5 or 6 links to play around with. The new ring that gives another 5 link. Those sorts of things. Maybe there's room in the game for these sorts of utility skills to become something that actually deals a bit of damage as well. Like, it's kind of cool.
And it has no cooldown either, does it?
Yes, no cooldown. You can just spam it.
That's the main thing, because Desecrate always had, like, if you did want to play that Desecrate detonated playstyle, you had the awkwardness of how do you make Desecrate not feel trashy. So having this no cooldown corpse generation.
And it's not going to be like OP for summoners, I don't think, too, because it needs skill gems, while Desecrate doesn't really.
Yeah.
So, you like if you want to get a lot of corpses with this to spam, Bone Offering or whatever, you need to run like GMP and fast casting with it and stuff like that. So, it makes sense for offensive characters, but it's not going to make so much sense for a summoner. So I feel like that works nicely, elegantly done.
What about the supports?
I am gonna get triggered if we talk about volley, so I'm gonna try and pretend that one doesn't exist. Me
I
and
don't-
chat have
I
had
don't
some
know.
fun conversations.
Here's a question for you. What's going to happen with volley and Sire of Shards? Huh?
I don't understand how it works. I don't get it.
So, okay.
Did you play with the Jewel in beta, the split arrow one?
Is it the
Yeah,
split
straight
arrow
jewel.
thing?
Yeah, it looks
that's
a lot like
that's what
that
I
one,
was
that's what I
getting.
thought.
Basically,
It is just that, but it
Ah.
works with any projectile skill.
Oh, okay. I
CuteDog's
thought it was
probably
something.
pretty hyped, I imagine.
Oh man.
I thought it was something more
Yeah,
creative.
it's gonna be pretty interesting. It depends like what the level 20, how many projectiles it gives you,
Yeah,
and if
if
it
it-
like widens the, because the jewel made like the distance between them wider, so it's like really OP.
Mm.
If this is like compact, it's like it's okay. It's pretty good.
Didn't it look like it was crossing too? Like it was shooting out like 6
I-
projectiles, and they were crossing in the middle with burning arrows
So
or something?
I watched that a bunch trying to figure out what was going on because it was like firing out the same as the Jewel would have done, but then it was getting some crisscross action, and I
Yeah.
think they were using it with GMP or it with LMP. You know,
I'm
Tarke?
putting my hands up for the teacher. I think that is the unannounced support gem, because there are 2 unannounced support gems. One of them has an icon which looks a lot like fork, and it's an arrow which then splits into 2 more arrows. So I was trying to work out like what could this be. So it being some kind of thing where after it travels a certain distance, it then changes the path, or it then forks out would kind of make sense. Because in all of the like gameplay videos they had with IGN, he was using ice shot with the volley, and it's straight lines. It's just straight lines. And what?
Kind of like Malagaro, I guess, with his
Yeah.
purple little attack. Maybe it deals more single target damage if you manage to get your target like in the middle of where all the projectiles meet before they fork out or something.
Yeah.
She's talking about shotgunning. She doesn't know.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, she doesn't know.
Let me
Oh.
let me in. Let me in.
Post
Put me in, coach.
shotgunning PoE player.
Monka S, freeze pulse, never forgetty. Yeah.
So,
Give me the
so
secret.
that what you just described, it was called shotgunning, which was a mechanic in the game for the longest time that was basically like the bane of balancing for projectile skills, and was eventually completely removed. It was the ability for projectiles to overlap, and you would do things like if you shot a boss at point blank with split arrow, it hit them with all the projectiles. So you can imagine it made balance really difficult.
Is that
so
kind
they
of
actually,
like the theory of why you try to aim with tornado shot kind of behind the target so more arrows hit? Is that kind of like
yeah,
the...
but like
it's
think of
the
that.
maximum.
but
That's,
like,
to
secondary, though.
extreme levels.
Yeah,
Like
so
you know how incinerate is, right? Incinerate is like scorching ray, so you could attach like GMP to it, so you have 5 projectiles. All of those would hit if you were standing on top of the mob.
Jeez.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
and
Or like the
important thing
void
that
bearers, the
yeah.
guy that like doggies that spit out the blue
those
flames
used to
and
kill
shit.
you.
Yeah.
They actually have like 10 different projectiles apparently. So they do very little damage, but they have like 10 different projectiles. So all 10 of those would hit you at the same time. So
Wow.
they do like 10 times less damage now. But you had like mechanics in place. Like if you had Arctic armor, they wouldn't deal any damage because Arctic armor used to be flat amounts of damage.
We're getting distracted. We're getting
Yeah, it's
but,
really
but CuteDog
Rabbit
makes a
hole.
very good point about why
Teal'd.
people need to calm down about volley, because that's different with secondary effects. And also going back to volley, if it's always only 1 projectile either side, I don't know why you would ever use it for a skill. If it gains more projectiles, it's good. Because 1 projectile either side, I got really triggered trying to say this in chat, it's a worse GMP for builds which want either just GMP or use threshold jewels. And it doesn't work well with tornado shot because it says in the jewel text, I can bring it up, it doesn't work for secondary effects. So because of that, the secondary explosions onto shot will not also gain multiple proj. So you'd rather just use GMP, and you're not suddenly going to start using like fucking GMP, LMP, volley. You're not going to do that.
Why not? Sounds amazing.
No, Raiz, stop. I was on suicide watch for 3 hours. Just people, this is so good to show. I was getting pain out. I was drawing it. I was logging into PoE. I was showing them the mechanics. I was like going to Ziggy's old like mechanical. This is how tornado shot works. People were like, this is really good with volley. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like this.
What do you mean? Minus 80% all damage is bad? What? Mind is blown.
On the bright side, it will fix the aiming issues with freeze pulse. Oh,
That
you
was
have to aim
the
right
one
on your
thing I was
feet.
really hype about. Yeah, because so again, Clara,
Just fix
getting
it,
back to
GG.
the
Just fix
shotgunning
it.
issue, the reason, if you've ever used freeze pulse, and you'll notice with any projectile character, if you click near your character, the projectiles fan out really wide. If you click at the end of the screen, they go in an almost completely straight line. That's because when shotgunning used to exist with, for example, freeze pulse, for a single mob, you'd use GMP, shoot the edge screen, it's a completely straight line. So like massive like shotgun, all 5 hit. They then removed shotgunning and never changed how freeze pulse targeted, meaning like 70% of freeze pulse AoE is lost. And it means that if you play a self-cast freeze pulse, you always need to click near your character, otherwise you're like nerfing your damage. But with this, it would then separate sideways, so you'd then hit like that, rather than like
perfect
bam.
coverage.
Yeah.
Which is also something you will never see in Path of Exile, because I've never seen freeze pulse outside of a totem since the shotgunning change. So, just by the way.
Yeah, I'm memeing a little bit. So volley one's kind of Cascade is the one that I'm like is like blowing my mind a little bit, because I was like, at first I was like, I guess you like throw down your like inner line cold snaps or whatever. But then I'm like started asking questions, and people are asking me questions. I'm like, oh god, how is this gonna work? What happens with Flame Blast? Where it selects a point, how does it determine where the Flame Blasts go? If it puts the Flame Blasts like in a cascading line, right? So the way Cascade works is that if you use an AoE skill, it will place another AoE before and after it, so creating like a triple bang, I guess. So how does Flame Blast work? It triggers it based on the initial AoE,
That's
and then
the
the
simple
AoE
one,
expands, and then it overlaps?
No,
You get overlap.
exactly.
Big overlap. Blade
Right.
Force
You
is gonna
put
be
crazy.
so
It's
sexy
like
with
1,
this.
2, 3, and then they just overlap. That's why you can still use it for single target with stuff like Flame Blast, and you're only using one ability. As long as you target the thing in the middle and it hits. Like, you ever... Okay, that's too obscure. Like, Aziri overlaps the Flame Blast, but if you're doing it in a party, so... Oh, that's also a funny fact that not a lot of people know, because people don't do that. If you do Aziri in a party, she actually spawns 2 Flame Blasts per person. So if you have a 6-man group, good luck. Because it spawns on top of everybody too.
So that sounds a little ridiculous, because this is level 1, 50% less. You're like, all right, 3 Flame Blasts, that's not that OP. But that's going to scale, for sure, right? It'll end up being like 15% less damage or something like that. So that sounds really nice.
30, I'd say.
But then what happens with stuff like Magma Orb?
No, Ziggy, you know the really spicy one?
What?
Remote Mine, Minefield, Bladefall. Just fucking destroy everything. This with Minefield is so nutty. Because it's like...
but that's still a melee ability then, because it doesn't target anymore, right? So you have to place it under mobs, and then it does the thing. Because Bladefall Mine doesn't target anymore. Same for
I forgot they killed that. Yeah, no, don't.
Yeah,
I forgot they killed that.
It's a lot more AoE, but you have to like stand on top of the thing.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
Stuff.
I can't figure out Magma Orb though. Someone asked me about it earlier, and I was like,
I'm guessing it'd just be more AoE overlaps with all bounces or something.
I'm guessing your projectile will go out, it'll hit the ground, then there'll be 3 explosions, and then it'll go again, and it'll be 3 more explosions.
Oh god.
I don't think it's gonna work with.
Imagine your eyeballs. Like, no, but that's the problem, Raiz. I'm like, okay, it can't work with this skill, and it can't work with that skill, and I started doing that. I'm like, hold on, it's gonna be like 4 skills this can work with then.
Yeah.
So
Maybe you're right.
maybe it just does work with all this crazy shit, and it is just gonna be a bit crazy. This is the big like wild card sport gem, I think. This expansion, like, I don't know what brokenness is going to come out of this.
For people saying this doesn't work, you target an area with Magma Orb. Like, you target where the ball lands.
Yeah, but it's a projectile with an AoE component, the same way like.
But like, so the way
has
this works is like it will only work on AoEs where you target where it lands, but you choose exactly where Magma Orb lands, and then it bounces. So it should.
That's yeah. Like, where's the cutout point? This is like,
but where you
this is even
for it
like
to
beyond
land
PoE
projectile.
levels of arbitrary kind of cutoff points.
Oh,
if
you're
we're
saying the
going- if
projectile
that's the
chooses
case.
not the AoE?
Yeah, the projectile chooses the same way like poison arrow is, right? It's a projectile that targets an area.
But
So you
I
can
mean, with
target an
projectile,
area.
that's like with Corsair, it's very clear because the cloud is a very obvious secondary effect, whereas with Magma Orb, it's all just one thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but I think Ziggy's right. No, they have to make it work for shit like this, because otherwise it's like what? Flame Blast, Stormcall.
Vortex.
Cold snap.
Oh,
Cold
yeah,
Snap
like
has less.
Nova abilities.
Cold Snap
yeah.
has less base damage than Frostwall.
Cold. Really?
Just like that sinking. Frostwall actually has like okay-ish base damage. It's not good, but it's better than Cold Snap. That's how bad Cold Snap is. For context.
if you use glacial frostwall as an alternative to glacial cascade, my brain.
The contagion, I heard about that.
Actually,
in my chat
we don't. Oh fucking hell! We see them use this on Frostwall in the video.
Yeah.
Because I was
that's
confused as fuck. I tried I tried working out how to cheat Frostwall earlier this league with either like totems or mines, and you can't. And during the video, I was so confused about how they did the massive Frostwall. They did it with this fucker. So it definitely works. Oh my god.
They're making Frostwall an ability now. Don't worry. It's like you're gonna play with Frostwall. That's another cool build that you might have missed, Lara. It used to be that like cast on crit didn't have a cooldown, so you would take like kinetic blast that would shotgun, which is what we talked about earlier, and it would like split fucking hitting the walls and then shotgun, and then you had cast on crit, so you would have like 100 frost walls and like 100 kinetic blasts, and it would just cover the screen so you couldn't move anymore.
The thing is, without it being buff like crazy, or if that's even what it's gonna end up being, like it looks really cool in the video, but without it even being like that, one of my first skills in PoE was Frostwall. I liked like concrete skills that I could see and stuff that looked cool. So I had zombies, I had SRS, I had Frostwall, I had like fucking every single skill that you could see, no support gems, and I was having a blast. It took me like hours to kill one mob, and I was having a fun time, and my friend was a ranger, and he was like, can you stop doing Frostwall, because I can't shoot my arrows through it, and I was like, oh, but I'm protecting us, I'm pushing the mobs off of us, it's like a shield. Like, I think that just new people are just gonna have like a
seriously started playing this game at the wrong time? So like, just random trivia, when Crip first played the game, the final boss was Oversoul in Act 2, and Chris is in Discord with him, or Mumble, whatever it was back then, like, oh, he's gonna die so easy on this. And Crip worked out that he could drop a frost wall to block all of the attacks, ground slam, and the ground slam, because it was a ground, he could still hit mobs, but mobs couldn't hit him. So if you started playing back then, you might have been like MLG God. Then, there was the whole issue with Pierce, and the way that Frostwall was coded, it was like, it was made up of basically just like monsters. So, for example, the way that Lightning Arrow works is you hit a mob and it does like AoE splash. One of the best single targets of the game was you drop a Frostwall on a boss, you hit it with Lightning Arrow, Kinetic Blast, it connects, and does insane AoE overlap. So basically, you need to find a PoE private server, and then you can like Frostwall for days.
No.
Like oh, so good.
You can do cutthroat races. What you just described is like the perfect cutthroat build. Yeah. You get Cold Snap, Frostwall, Fire Trap, SRS, and I think that's it. And then you play with that, and you trap people with the SRS and everything. You're gonna have a lot of fun with cutthroat when that rolls around. If you haven't done it before, I don't know.
No, I haven't. I haven't been able to. It's the timing is so bad for where I was at, but I'm gonna stay up no matter what for the next cutthroat.
GGG running cutthroat ever.
No.
Nice meme.
I'm sorry.
Can anyone in chat find? I'm trying to go through the video trying to find that Frostwall bit. Can anyone chat just like screen cap that? I just want to like be able to show it clearly. But yeah.
It's just a lot of walls, basically.
It was a lot of walls.
Just find one of the Kinetic Blast cast on Crit Frostwall builds, and it's the same thing, basically. Just covers the whole thing. Yeah, but that's interesting. If it actually works with Frostwall, I would imagine that it works with exactly what you guys said. Really any ability that's a spell that has an AoE component, like Magma Orb and all that. Maybe it even like splits when a fireball hits or something. 2 more projectiles come out, one before the mob and one after the mob.
I don't see it working with fireball.
I think that'll be crossing the line, yeah.
Because that's a very clear, you shoot a project. Because the reason why I think it would work with Magma Orb is you choose where it lands. So, for example, with fireball, you just shoot and it travels in the direction. There's no like set stop point. Whereas for Magma Orb, it will go where you clicked for it to land. You know, it will then do its set bounces.
The set stop point is the mob. You know, and then you use that with GMP, and then you've got 6 explosions overlapping on top of the one mob that you hit initially because everything's exploding. That would be great. I like that. Also, probably doesn't work. Yes.
Also, I found the thing real quick. So going on to the other support gems, I'm actually kind of hyped for the Ancestral Core one. Not because I think it'll be good, but because I think it will make skills which are like kind of fun, not that good, better. Like, if you don't know, that's one where you hit a mob and then it targets like 2 other nearby mobs. It will make Wild Strike, Infernal Blow, stuff like that feel way smoother, because previously you used multi-strike, and then it's like you kill the pack but you're just left swinging to fix the name lock issue. Whereas with that, you just like tap once and your Infernal Blow hits the entire pack and you can move on.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say the skill seems so similar to multi-strike, and I absolutely love multi-strike. Like, I don't have to aim. Like, I can just like AFK, like goes through this map, like great. But the only reason why I haven't been using it in hardcore is because like the extra animation time, like with Frostblade's extra animation time, like you're going and Katava's like ready to like slam you or something like that. So this seems really awesome. It's kind of like a discount multi-strike with maybe not the extended animation time, which ends up being so rippy for a lot of people.
Its only issue is no single target boost. It's purely for making these skills AoE.
Yeah, but I mean, what if you play it with heavy strike? We're talking about Ancestral Call, right?
Ancestral Call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bring up the image for you.
Okay, so initially when I saw that, I was like, that's really not cool, but it actually follows up with the effects. Like, Lightning Strike, the other mobs that you hit also spawn Lightning Strike or Molten Strike and stuff like that. That's pretty freaking cool. Like, imagine if that also works with Heavy Strike with, like, Slayer Ascendancy, where you've got the melee splash. Then probably that melee splash is overlapping and you're using Heavy Strike, so you've got like 200% base damage. And it's not just hitting the mob in the middle, since it's hitting like mobs on the side, then that naturally also increases the area of effect of it.
Worm Flask, boys. New spicy Reddit video incoming. Oh, it's gonna be so good.
I don't get that. Wait, what's going on with that? I saw people saying the Worm Blaster and stuff. But
yeah, this will be like the new Worm Blaster, because you just like you use 5, shit out all these extra mobs, so your Ancestral Call can hit things on single target. We're gonna get a new Worm Blaster video. I'm so excited. It's been ages since we've had a good Worm Blaster.
I mean, with like Magma Orb comp effect, sorry, not Magma Orb, Molten Strike comp effect or something like that. It's going to be pretty interesting.
Well, it does have a pretty massive penalty. I don't know how low it's going to scale, but it's 50% less damage. Probably going to scale down to like, what, 40, 30%
No, it's
less?
25% at level 1.
Well, 25 at 1, so that'll
I'm
be
showing
almost
it on
nothing.
stream.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. 25
I
at
thought
1,
it was
so it'll probably
50.
go down to
Oh,
like...
the other one is 50,
yeah, the
right?
other one's 50, yeah.
Okay. 25% is little. Imagine if it goes up in nearby targets. It's not just 2. At level 20, it's like...
Oh my god.
4, and then 5 at 21 or something.
Surely not. Surely not. I mean, that'll look pretty good, just like...
Hang on.
In all directions.
We got rid of Cast on Crit, by the way. Here's Ancestral Call.
That was one thing I found surprised about this, is they're like, oh, we removed all the stuff. Oh, by the way, here's Spell Cascade. It's coming up with Lightning Strike if you look for it here. So if everyone... I'll play this in slow motion. You can see
Nice slow-mo.
it goes all over the place.
I made sound effects. I couldn't tell what was going on, but now I'm following up.
That's like really nice coverage.
What is that? Like, I want to, after we do this, what's going on with that Cyclone there? Can anyone has any thoughts on that? Because he's cycloning mobs, and then it's creating another Cyclone or AoE around the mob. Do you think that's ancestral?
That's Volatile Dead.
That's Volatile Dead, yeah.
He's doing either
got,
cast
like,
on melee kill or cast on crit or
okay.
something like that. So then what he's doing is he's...
Oh, and that's why they're following him.
Yeah, because the way that Volatile Dead works, it does a AoE explosion, it then summons the Volatile and it seeks out mobs. So he cyclones, kills like a mob, what those explosions are, that's the detonation. And then you... Because it has a very separate animation cycle itself. I'm surprised the AoE on it is so large. That AoE is actually like pretty decent.
Yeah,
play it again.
And the balls seem to have a large AoE, and they're fucking smart. Like, the balls were staying in one spot, and then he moved a screen away from the balls, saw a mob pack that was at the edge of his screen there, and even though he couldn't see the balls almost anymore, they targeted the mobs. Like they have a really high seeking range. As long as the player sees the mobs, it seems like they target them wherever they are. But maybe their duration isn't that long. I'm not. Do they have a duration mentioned there?
Imagine an enemy volatile. Hold on, just imagine an enemy volatile balls sneaking in with that pack of volatiles.
Oh, don't.
Yeah.
It's good they made the sound for it. Looking at the skill, it doesn't have the duration tag. I've shown it up on stream. So there's also, if you go to the Google Doc at the bottom, I linked all of these on Imgur. I know reading Google Doc, lol. But yeah, it doesn't have the duration tag. It just says corpses near the target location explode, dealing damage in a small area and creating an orb which moves towards nearby enemies, dealing damage.
Yeah,
train up a whole map to the boss.
Oh.
There's a longer clip of what you just showed. There's a longer clip where the balls were up for like 5 seconds and then they targeted. Like imagine if you just gather up like 100 of these balls, like just pull them to the boss and just like.
Well, that's why like something like Worm Blaster, just like I guess because the problem is it's percent of the corpse maximum life. But what you could do is like desecrate a bunch of times before you go in. Just like drop loads of desecrates and haha go in and just I don't know.
Yeah, and it's cool too because if you like possibly if they don't travel and they're not actually like somebody mentions in the chat like it's an aggro range, it's something that you can. Like the way in D3 or in certain games, you leave certain things behind you so that you can pick them up later on if you're like in a sketchy situation. The same way it's here. Like if you're having to backtrack, you've got all these balls waiting in the back to, help you out with the damage. It's cool. It's got
someone in chat
offensive
said
and
that's
defensive
apparently
things.
Volatile and Cascade linked together by looking at the little link on them.
Ooh.
Oh, and Cascade?
3 balls?
Three balls.
They look like they move pretty slow though, so I don't know how they'll be for like map clearing. I think most of these new skills are for bossing.
Yeah.
Because like when you look at any like item, like new item or new skill, you kind of have to like compare it to like every other thing that's in the game to get a feel for like what the power will be. And like if you look at Unearth, I wouldn't use that for mapping because like I could just use EK and get 360. Like this pierces, that's great, but it like stops at the targeted location. So if you're like being really frantic in your maps and you like target at your feet, then like you don't really get as much out of it. So you have to pay more attention to how you're attacking, which is okay. Body swap is like, I mean, you need the corpse to first use it, right? So like, why would I use that over like shield charge or something like that? And then Volatile Dead does look cool though. I want to use this for like bossing, just because it just has a cool visual, you know. And then Volcano is probably like the flashiest one, and that or not Volcano, it's called Cremation.
Volcano. Fisher.
But, yeah, it's just, the Volcano.
Fisher from Grim Dawn.
Badass. So, I mean, yeah, they're okay.
Still so OP in Grim Dawn.
Yeah, Fisher is crazy in Grim Dawn. It's like Fisher and Ravenous Earth together in one ability. No, it's called Volcano something. Oh, and I guess it's like the one, like actual Volcano from D2. Also.
Yeah, that's the Druid. That's the thing that I was finding odd that you were talking about Grim Dawn. I'm just thinking like, Raiz D2? Did I make this skill up? Like,
no, in Grim Dawn, there's so many abilities that work like this. Except in Grim Dawn, there's shotgunning, so that's why it makes it OP. Because all those little projectiles, they hit it on the target. So like you release 100 projectiles, all of them hit. It's pretty nuts.
Okay. So then the only left over support gem, clearly the most exciting support gem by far. Can anyone remember what it is?
Channeling.
Unannounced.
Channeling
That
support.
one looks crazy.
Storm Barrier. Ziggy got it. The most exciting support gem of year.
These channeling supports were hyped ages ago that they were going to release a bunch of channeling supports, and we finally got one. And I mean, it seems alright.
It's kind of like I'm farming Uber Azaro with a lightning coil, and I'm somehow still scared of Uber Azaro. That's kind of it, you know. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of cool, you know. You got that obvious synergy with the lightning coil, but also gives a little bit of defense, gives a little bit of offense.
Right.
Like,
You
we
can
can
use them well.
3D art now, boys.
You can use them well with the amazing new pair of boots that gives you charges, 1 charge per second when you're standing, and when you move, you lose all charges. You can use it with this for your 10-minute boss fights. I mean, there's potential in this. We don't know how far it's gonna scale. Maybe the quality is really good.
the one thing, like memes aside, it could be decent for is for dark pack totems, and like if they ever bring back like poison animate weapon or something, when you're self-casting Wither while your like horde does shit, that was always quite rippy because you're standing still, not moving. So you just throw this into the links if you can, and it makes you a little bit safer. But to be fair, that build already wants like Wither, faster casting, increased duration, and maybe some other shit in there anyway. So you could fit it on a 4-link on that, but that's so niche. It's like, this is good for a dark pack totem build or a chaos animate weapon build. Like, that is so niche. Actually, no. This would also be good for any fire totem or fire minion build doing Scorching Ray on single target. So it's also good.
Remember,
everybody
remember that good is relative. Okay.
Yeah. If you somehow have spare links in your gear that you can like throw in this random utility, it has some purpose.
I think the most important part, and I'm sure CuteDog will agree with me, is does it add a cool, badass-looking storm barrier effect to your character when you use it?
Another bubble.
Maybe just like a half bubble? Maybe like a half bubble?
But you lose it. You lose it when you're not channeling, so that's why it's so garbage. Because you're going to be like moving eventually, right? That's way better than just like face tanking some boss attack. It's so bad.
But it's like you're putting up your shield when you're gonna get hit.
If it had like, if it was if it had like a 4-second tag in it, I could see people using this for like Itzubi or Shaper or something. If we pretended that, Shaper did loads of lightning and physical damage and Itzubi, I think Itzubi does the Stormclaw thing, but for like those weird minion builds, if it.
And Siri does the circle thing, so you have to stop moving and take
to stand in it to get some mitigation. Yeah, I'm trying to, like, that's what I'm saying. If it had to, like, you gain this for like 4 seconds after, I'm surprised it doesn't have the recently tag on it. Because then
recently would be cool.
It'd be really cool. Because then you're like on a boss, so you just like quickly go bzz, and then you're like chilling about. But
whoa. Yeah, someone in chat just said that they're all level 4. I don't even know how I didn't really pay attention to this aspect of it, but that's kind of a big deal. These are all level 4 supports.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a big deal for leveling and racing and stuff. Spell Cascade, tripling your AoE in a line, which is perfect for leveling when the packs are not as wide. I mean, your volley and... Ooh! Storm Barrier, less so.
Volley. Volley makes sense.
Ancestral Cascade, maybe?
Actually, Storm Barrier and Volley makes sense. Everything else, I think, is too big of a penalty for casters.
It could also be possible they're purposely making these kind of like filler mods to dilute the Shaper and Elder item pool. Kind of like when they dilute prefixes and suffixes by putting kind of like trashy ones in there. They can't just straight up print terrible support gems. So they make these like very niche, in some cases, ones, and because of that, it makes these Shaper and Elder items harder to roll, because it's like, oh yeah, I hit like, as I was saying, volley is actually a nerf to some like projectile skills, right? So it's like, oh no, I've hit volley on this weapon, so who could this actually be good for? I've hit Storm Barret and Blind on my boots. I'm so happy with my life,
That is pretty cool. Storm Barrier and Blind. Slap it on your level 20 Zaro kill build.
I feel like Storm Barriers, this could be so much better at earlier levels, because you're bound to get hit while leveling. It seems like a really nice way to get power charges early on. But like when you're at endgame and you want to clear maps, I don't think it's that likely. Like if you've really gotten your build down pat, it's not that likely that you're going to get hit. It seems like a pretty shitty way to get power charges, and seems like a waste of a skill gem socket compared to other things, but early game, I think it could be really nice. The other issue
it has on that point is, if you actually go through the channeled skills, Stormburst is the only one, and Charge Dash, which wants power charges. Blight doesn't want it. Wither doesn't want it. Scorching Ray, blah blah blah. I guess Lightning. So it's like Lightning Tendril, Stormburst, Charge Dash. Those are the only 3 charge skills which want power charges, right? Haven't missed one? Oh,
No.
Flame Blast?
All of these skills have amazing DPS and don't need to go crit. What are you talking about? What did you put in the middle?
Stormburst,
Stormburst, Lightning, and what?
Lightning Tendrils, Flame Blast, Charge Dash.
Oh, Flame Blast.
Charge dash.
That skill was such a disappointment, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
I tried it out. It was like... okay.
It feels decent for leveling, but then the problem is like when you get into like a mapping setup, you're just like, why aren't I playing Flicker? Like, this is just a worse Flicker. It's a clunkier Flicker, and... Oh, Blade Flurry's another one, I forgot about that. No, this is how you combat Reflect. You people, CuteDog, your Blade Flurry builds, you can combat Reflect now. Just be physical and lightning damage, shove this into your links, fuck you. This is a Reflect mechanic. Oh my god.
It's mandatory now, get used to it.
So terrible. Can you imagine if you had to use this to combat Reflect for Lightning Tendrils? I can get behind you if that's the way the game's going. I don't want that, but
Just sneak it in there.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe the scaling is insane. Maybe it's 2% less per level. So
how
level
high
20,
do you reckon that
48.
mitigation goes up to? Yeah,
48% less. So you do a fortify and you do that, and you're basically you're done. That's it.
You just take 100% reduced, no problem.
This is a hardcore gem for sure. If you play the real man's league, softcore Abyss, then you want the more modifiers.
Yeah, actually, speaking of, all things considered, I'm positively surprised. They're actually adding things that work like Pierce Chain, whatnot, rather than what I was kind of expecting out of them. 48% more damage.
Yeah.
Minus 2 crit type of thing. So I think they put in a lot of work into these, and it really shows, I think. And there's still one more active gym and one more support?
No,
two more supports.
Two supports,
Yeah.
okay.
Nice.
It's my idiot brother.
Oh, damn it. She's gonna go pop it.
Beat him up.
What did he scream?
Mom, I want a podcast. I'm streaming.
Mom, I'm gonna pop the heart. Damn it, she ran off too.
I really hope that she just comes out like
Rip,
bloody
brother.
knuckles or something.
Rip, brother.
Flesh between teeth. Damn it, no, this is too much.
I'm hyped, guys.
How long have we been doing this anyway?
If we just talk about this
4
ring,
hours.
if we just talk about this ring, so you can go to bed because it's like what 5 a.m., 4 a.m. for you or
It's
something.
5 a.m.
Let's just talk about this ring and then
Let's
Ziggy
talk
can go
about
to
some
sleep.
uniques.
Right, Hungry Loop. Boom. It's not a cast and damage taken ring, by the way. One thing which is worth noting about this ring, and I destroyed someone in chat with this earlier. Combs Roots is the consistently... Welcome back. Combs Roots is the consistently...
We weren't talking about you, by the way. Welcome.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Combs Roots is consistently the most used item across all the leagues, from the stats they produced. And then they're adding more items, which will then eat up sockets, because obviously if you get like a 6-link helm, you're not putting your custom damage taken in it, right? So I find it really interesting they're doing this, because it has insane synergy, obviously, with the way the game is going.
Maybe you should explain what the ring actually does.
Fair enough. Well, there's an image up on the screen. It's pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, so it's an unset ring. It can have consume 4 additional sport gems, consume socketed sport gems when they reach maximum level. So what you do is you get a weapon swap, you level up your support gems, and then when they're about to level 20, you right-click so they don't level up. You then drag them into the ring, click, boom, drag them over, click, boom. The people thought like you'd have to do really weird things to level up. You just right-click so it doesn't level, and then drag it over, then click. It's really straightforward.
Something that people got confused about too is a lot of the people saw an image with a cast when damage taken.
The way they announced it was really weird. Yeah.
Right. So the cast when damage taken was already consumed, so it is actually a 5-link and not a 4-link.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing here is you've got the 4 consumed, and then you've obviously got the gem
The
that
active,
get
which
put
goes into it. Yeah.
thing.
5-link ring. Pretty OP.
No stats though. I don't know.
Considering everyone's been doing Essence Worm Mom. I'm sorry, go on, Ziggy.
I feel like this fits into a weird niche or a weird area. Like people have been really hyped about this ring, more so than I would have expected. It fits into a weird kind of area where, when you're talking like, here's an alternative to a 5-link, like say something like Hierophant or some sort of cheaper craft thing or some other unique that gives you like gloves +1 extra support or something. That's like, hey, I got this before I got a 5-link, or I can use this alternative, or I can use this and now I have 2 5-links with my other cheap 5-link I got, and that kind of expands that out. But this becomes way after that. Yeah. You need a bunch of level 20 gems basically to use this, so you need to feed this thing over quite a decent amount of time. Let's say you're doing this yourself and not just immediately buying the gems. You need to feed this over a decent amount of time. Like that comes way after that point. So then it only really kind of fits into the niche of like, I want an extra 5-link in my build, so I'm either a build that's using like wands or something like that, and I'm not taking advantage of the new like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 link.
Well, do you think
guys,
do you think you can just like because right now the only thing that people do with their offhands is just level gems. Does it just consume a level 20 gem no matter what? So in your offhand, for instance, you can level the 4 gems and then you just, or 5 gems, whatever, and then you just slap them in once they've reached level 20, and it just works. That way it doesn't take that long.
You don't get it straight. So like, if it's already level 20 and it puts it in, then it won't work. You get it so it's like, you know, when you click the button to level it up,
and you don't level
you
it.
then just click it out.
Right click it, yeah.
But the thing which is cool about it is it's like, this is insane for like summoners, every chaos build which struggles to fit a fucking wither totem in. That's huge, right? So I need to be able to get like easy wither totem setup. Even just something kind of simple like whirling blades, faster attacks, fortify, culling strike, enhance. If your build can't use insanity gloves, obviously you'd rather have it in that. But if your build can't use that, that's pretty nice. Extra links.
Like I think this really shines in like the summoner example, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of a niche item more so than I would feel like everyone's hype warrants. But for summoners and things like that, that is a pretty big deal. The ability to get another 5-link minion is a decent deal. So and they're pretty starved for sockets, so it makes sense in that sort of situation, but not in like a bunch of other situations. Like maybe you get like this situation where you got your staff caster and he's already got 2 6-links, and you're like, I'd really like a 5-link totem to add into this. So like, I don't think that's gonna happen too much. I mean, that'd be cool if it happened, but
I love how your cool idea of this potentially working on a summoner is completely trumped by the fact that there's no fucking way you can fit that on a skill bar, because the overlay is so cryptic and you don't have enough key bindings. It's like, you want to get something active in there,
that's
right?
Also true. Well, yeah, Chris was saying about this like shift toolbar where you can have a bunch of extra skills.
I think it's about time.
For that. Yeah, I
think it's about time.
It's also like, I think that it will mostly see use for totems. Like for the people in chat, spell totem isn't an active gem; it's a support gem, so it's fine. But this, for example, like Ancestral War Chief Totem, like how many builds have you played where it's like, oh, I really feel like a juicy Ancestral War Chief, but I just haven't got the links. Or like if you're like a crit, like dual wield Cleave or Sunder or whatever, suddenly having this like insane, like nutty 5-link Ancestral War Chief smack, it's really nice. But I do agree with Ziggy. The thing which is awkward about it is not only do you get it late, you can't even really use it to like twink for your second character because it still requires level 69. If it had like a low requirement, that could be kind of cool because it could be like, oh, you can get this at a low level, so in your first character you go through, they make this like really cool leveling setup. But I mean, 69 I guess is early maps. It's like boom, go straight into maps.
What if it's one of those? What if this is one of the items that, for instance, drops off of Elder, and if you can actually have Elder in like early levels, right? Let's say you do a tier 5 Elder, then the ring is only limited by the level requirements of those gems, right? So if you're doing an Elder that's like map tier 5 or whatever, then the ring that he drops is like level 40, and now you can only put gems in there that are up to like level 5 or something.
That's kind of cool.
Then it's the only problem with that is that it could be messed up because obviously some gems are level 1 at 28, and some
Yeah,
gems are level 1
38 and
at
stuff,
4.
yeah.
So that's the tricky part. But it would be cool, I think. If the leveling setup I like a lot.
I mean, even Raiz, if you think about the Blight builds we played, this would be perfect for our decay setup. Because you can't really get a 6-link decay setup, DPS-wise. You kind of run out of damage links. And your 6 link is like
weapon
AoE or
swap.
whatever.
Weapon swap, no problem.
Yeah, but like, you get what I'm saying though, right? Like, if you try and fit, there's only like 4 supports which boost decay's damage and stuff.
Right.
Or is it 3? So like, in the case of that, it's like, this is actually the best thing you could do for that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I like it. For that, it works. No, I think it's a very cool ring, and I think it works well also with the entire theme of, you know, hey, everybody's getting all these links now and all these different items, but you're potentially sacrificing like natural stats and affixes.
Yeah. Since it is literally 5 a.m. for Ziggy, and this has been a really long podcast, and
Whoa, we don't talk about the boots? Hello?
No,
Come
the
on.
boots are terrible. The boots are absolutely useless.
Thank you for completely fucking my sleep schedule. I pulled an all-nighter playing Orvorian like a week ago, and I finally corrected my sleep schedule only for you guys to completely screw it again. So thank you. But it was fun.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
It was fun. I enjoyed the PoE expansion hype. Thanks.
Yeah, it was really nice. I was really scared of coming on here. I guess you could tell because I was frightened into silence for like the first like maybe 15 minutes. I couldn't even say anything. And then you guys were like, "Oh, come on, speak." I was like, "Okay, a little bit better." But yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you,
joining
Tarke.
us.
Scary format
Thanks
in
for
that
joining
way,
us.
I think.
Huh?
Right? It's a scary format in that way because, you know, we haven't given you the notes on the facial expressions that you gotta make when you want to speak. 'Cause that's
Oh,
how we
right. It's like
communicate,
blink
yeah.
twice. Like I had to learn that
Yeah.
today. Like blink twice. Yes, I want to speak. Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, it was actually nice. I was just really intimidated because I'm not the best player at this game. I don't know everything, but it was really nice. You guys were all really nice, and it was nice giving my newbie input to certain things. So thank you, Tarke, for organizing all this. Thank you all for having me.
Cool. You're welcome again another time. And also, just a heads up, my stream died during your outro, so no one heard what you had to say.
Oh.
Yeah, beautiful. It cut out for a second, so everyone's just like, guys, I'd just like to say it was really nervous being on here. So you're chilling. But anyway,